Hello, welcome to Nezo's Bad Shop. I'm your host Nezo, and today I'm here to do a build video on the Reve-D RDX. That's this car. It's upside down, but the Reve-D RDX. This particular kit has already been unboxed. The video is posted already if you want to go check it out. I did a 2026 version of it because it's 2026 now, and the original video I did is from about 3 or 4 years ago, probably 4 years ago now. So I decided to do that. But in this video, this is just straight up build. So I'm going to just build this car to box stock specs, which then you can see the performance in a previous video I did years ago. Box stock shakedown test at Strictly Sideways. So before we get into starting bag one, step one, all that stuff, I'm just going to quickly go through the beginning of the manual here, and then just going to walk through a bit of the tools I've laid out off to my side, my usual tool set that I lay out for doing service or building cars. And we are going to go through this. At some point, you may see transitions where I transition into a new scene. That might be because I had to stop the cameras or take a break for whatever reason. Typical build on this car, if you kind of know what you're doing with RC cars and you can follow the instructions, you're not scared to. Typical build on this car will be about 3 hours. If you've never experienced a car, it could be several hours. You could spread it over several days. I myself can sit down and put together one of these cars, particularly the RDX, in about 2 to 2.5 hours. A YD2 or some other cars about 4.5 hours. So just to give you an idea, if you were to do it in one sitting. But don't worry, this car goes together fairly easy. It's mostly straightforward. The instructions are very well laid out and quite detailed. And we're going to go through many things. And I've built several of these cars over time, including my own. So we will be able to figure out, and I will be able to tell you, lots of different tips and tricks. So I'm going to grab the close-up cam here, which I'm going to be using periodically. I'm going to turn its light on. There we go. And I'll be moving it up and down, and you will see stuff around this area. Whenever I'm doing close-ups of builds, it'll go under this camera where my hands are. So we're going to use that just to go through the manual quickly and my tool set, and then I won't move this camera, the close-up camera, around very much. It's supposed to be staying static. But for the build video, might have to move it up or get even closer. But generally, I'll bring things to that camera when we're building. So let me move that camera over here now. So here's the RDX manual. Let's see. So main things you want to check out is additional items required for driving. That's basically all the electronic set, battery, wheels, tires, that kind of stuff. Sorry. Paint for the body if you're going to paint your body, and all that stuff. That's pretty straightforward because we're just building a roller here. We're not putting any electronics in this video. There's lots of precautions and some other stuff over there if you care to read it. That's just precautions for safety and all that other stuff. Tools. You do get some tools in the kit. First thing we can pull out. You do get a 1.5 millimeter Allen wrench and a 2 millimeter Allen wrench and a wheel nut wrench. That's very handy. So you do get some tools, but you will need a couple others to make your life a little bit easier. So we're going to put those off to the side because I have those mostly laid out over there. What else do you need? What would be ideal? A screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver. They enlist small, so probably a PH2 or 1 of the two. But a small Phillips screwdriver, I think it's PH1. And needle nose pliers. I have a couple laid out of there, big and small. I'll go through them in a minute. Tools to make your life easier if you actually have your own tool set, a 2 mil hex wrench and a 1.5, and side cutters. That's just so you can cut stuff off of the parts off the parts trees, but I tend to use a hobby knife and a cutting board. Usually there's my cutting board. It's a genuine Tamiya cutting mat. Very nice. You can get them at most hobby stores, and it's got measurements all over it. And the other things I'm using here, cow RC mats. I have several of them. These are 2 of them that I own. I forget the dimensions and this and that, but magnetic for one thing, so your screws don't go rolling around. Lots of part separator trays so you can separate stuff. And on this one particularly, I wrote FFRR for front, rear, rear. So when we're assembling multiple assemblies in the front or rear of the car, we have front or rear. I designated that to make my life easier. It's very handy for shocks, that kind of a thing. And then the next page here is we are going to start the build. So pretty much what I'll do is I'll have the instructions off to the side. When it's time to do a certain part, I'll walk through it here with my finger in this, that, and we'll talk about it, and then we'll go and do it. So that's the instructions. We'll leave that off to the side. Here's my tool set. I got a variety of tools here that are very, very handy. Small sets. These are turnbuckle wrenches and things like that. the Phillips bit hobby knife, or X-Acto, if you will, with the small blade. Always a fresh one is ideal. There's one of my wheel nut wrenches. I had hex drivers for my screwdriver there, and for my gyroscopic screwdrivers there as well. They have taken a walk. I'll have to get new ones. And I also decided I would get hex wrenches in the form of well, sort of like a turnbuckle wrench, kind of like one of these guys down here. I have a 5.5 and a 4.0, and those are very handy for turnbuckles or several other hex-based wheel nut type stuff. A driver set, which is comprised of a 1.5 mils to 3.0. Can you guess which one is the 2.0? It's that one. Anyways, yep. These have been around with me since I think like 2015, and they're still going strong, and I have never replaced the tips. They're very good. So Dynamite makes a quality set there. I got a shock shaft pliers by Racer's Edge. This is for when we build shocks. You put the shock shaft in the pliers to hold it so you can screw on the ball end caps. Side cutters also work for that, and the side cutters are for cutting off parts that are pesky. Got my vernier caliper, just in case. It's digital, always reset it. That's for measuring things if we have to, like turnbuckles, but this car has complete turnbuckles, non-adjustable, fixed links. Yeah, fixed turnbuckles, that's what I was looking for. There's my utility knife. It happens to be a Mastercraft. It gets the job done, replaceable blades, that kind of thing. 2 sets of pliers we got going on here, my small and my large. Screwdriver I just showed, a pair of hobby scissors for cutting various things. These ones are quite beat up. These ones are particularly for car bodies, Lexan polycarbonate bodies, because they're curved, but I have several sets and I use them for all kinds of stuff. So that's that. And then these gyroscopic screwdrivers are particularly by DeWalt. This one's been used quite a lot. The other one does say, there it is, gyroscopic or cordless screwdriver. It says gyroscopic on the top. There it is, gyroscopic. Part number DCF680. These are discontinued, but you can still find them. They're very good because you power them on. It doesn't spin until you turn your wrist. I think I did a video on it years and years ago, but they're very handy for installing cars and going slowly because I can creep. See how I'm creeping there? I can creep the screw in that I'm using or whatever, and that will be very handy for building cars and speeding things up overall the process. And has a light as well, and there is a locking clutch. You cannot see it on there, but there is locking clutch numbers here. So if we're doing something delicate, we can turn it down, right? If we're doing something rough, we turn it up. I usually use it between 5 or 7, and then just use the variable speed there so that we don't break things. And of course, some TP / paper towel or whatever, what have you. This is for the shock oils or bearing oils, or, you know, just in case we need to do a little bit of cleaning upping. So putting this back in its position there, we are ready to start building this car. So the only other thing I did, I guess I'll bring the box to the camera this time. You can see here, I'm gonna have to move it up, but to the close-up cam, I have arranged the parts in a certain order. So you can see, look, bag 1, bag 2, bag 3, bag 4, 5, 6, and you get the idea. I did that to make my life easier instead of having to hunt around or this or that. I can just pull them out of the box one by one. So I'm going to put the close-up camera back where it's supposed to go. I'm going to fix my wire here. There we go. Okay. I'm going to move the box out of the way, and we're going to be swap-swapping back and forth between the close-up cam and the main cam here. That will be me in the edit, moving things around. But that is for your benefit, so that not only will I feature it sort of here like this, show it off, but then I will put it under the close-up cam and you will get a better visual that way, and it'll go up on the main screen. So there's the main chassis. We'll leave that there. We don't play with that part until a bit later. I can't remember what step, but we do it later. So normally I got my trusty DeWalt 2 mil here. I leave that pretty close on hand. I'll just put it over there. And you'll see me grab various tools and pop them all over the place, and we'll go from there. Like I said, I might have to take a break, so you may see a camera stop or a scene transition, but that usually will be at the end of a step, and then it'll transition into a next step. Not sure how this is going to go in terms of like whether I can do a straight shot film through, if I'm going to take a break. But anyways, so build video, let's get started. Here's the paper of the manual here. If you want, you can take a read through the manual first before building the car. Just take a read through just to sort of see how things will go. I like to do that sometimes, you know, just getting a visual of where you're going to end up. And this car particularly has several versions of ways you can install certain things. Mostly the battery holder is the main one. So for example, for short LiPo battery, we do this. We do a certain step here on page 9, and then when you complete that at the top of page 11, but the top of page 11 says, in case of the short battery horizontal, you'll do this way. Sorry, you complete it at the bottom of page 10, and then page 11 is where you'd start that. So when we complete the standard way, standard battery installation, we don't then do anything until we turn to page 21. 21 is step 8, because when we finish the where is it? The battery part? Somewhere around here it says it. We'll get to it, but I remember seeing it somewhere in here where it says, when you're done here, please proceed to step 8, and then you basically go all the way over here to page 21. So we'll get to that later. For now, we are going to start step 1. And step 1 is assembling the bell crank on this page. Assembling the steering bell crank. So bring the manual over here, grab the close-up cam, and what do we see? We see many things. So close-up cam, you can see here we need several parts. It's all listed down the side here, okay? So you can take a gander there, bulkhead parts, the wiper arms, everything in bag 1 basically we're going to need here. And for the most part, some of these parts are the correct sizing, 1-to-1 scale. See, it says here 1-to-1 scale. So you could actually line up this screw with this part and you will see that it will fit. And I'll illustrate that just for this one area for this first part. But everything else under the 1-to-1 scale section, that will actually be the correct size. Everything up here will not, okay? And so just some of these areas we have to pay attention when we do some of this because, for example, this part here, we have to assemble all this first before that becomes that, okay? Then we have to pay attention, certain things go in certain places, but most of it is easy to do and we shouldn't have too much of an issue, and I will put this on the close-up cam. So let's put the close-up cam back to where it was. That there. Okay, so let's get bag 1. There's bag 1, okay? Bag 1. First, we are going to, here, I'm going to move the camera up a bit just so you can see a bit more. There, close-up cam. Many things coming out of here, and some of it we will need for later. That is for sure, for sure. I'm going to put all this over here because I didn't get a garbage, so I'll just make a garbage over there. And then I'll use my small parts tray here, this guy, and I'll empty out all these parts into this area. So let's do that now. A quarter of your build is just opening bags and parts and stuff. So, but always when you do this, make sure, check the bag, make sure there's nothing left in the bags, okay? Sometimes I like to do this as well. So we have one of these big bags from the unboxing. You could do this. Here's bag 1. Put that in there. Put these that I'm undoing the parts here into your big bag. Well, actually, we're going to do this instead of a garbage bag. That way, if you might have missed a part or it looks like a part didn't come with the kit, you can always refer back to these bags. Can't tell you how many times I thought, oh, I've got all the parts, and I go to do something and I'm missing a part, but it's in one of these bags buried in the garbage and I have to go digging, and nobody wants to do that. So let's cut this open. I find this is easier to do it like that. Okay, we'll put that there. Oops. Yep. Okay. So this is what I called the little spider tree or whatever, star tree. This is all 1mm spacers. We get a lot of these because we're going to need a lot of them, and we will refer to this later in the steps. We're going to refer back to this part, so might have to, I know what I need to do. This is another parts tray. I wasn't sure if I need it, but we're going to put it off to the side. There's some parts from another build. We'll just shove those in the corner. No one will see those. And we'll put the parts that we're going to need a lot of and more of there. I wasn't sure if I was going to do that. But anyway, so instead of, here we got the parts off the tree or out of the bag. I don't like to just rip them all straight off right away. I like to see what's needed first, and then we go from there. So we will need the 43mm servo rod. That's this guy. 43.0. There's only one of it. So take it off your parts tree, and if usually they always have little burrs like this, the little piece on the end. I like to trim that off. So with my trimming mat, just a little simple knife action here, trim it off, see? And it's clean. Side cutters will get most of it, but not all of it. So there, that's a nice clean cut. And we have that there, so we will need that part. Now here, see, there's the rest of the turnbuckles. These are gonna go off to the side, okay? So we'll put those off to the side for later. All of these parts we're gonna need though off this tree. We're gonna need all of these. So let's take them all off now. The idea is it's supposed to come off on that edge there, see? See that? Perfect, that's how it's supposed to come off on all the parts. And put that there. How's our camera doing? Our other camera, it's doing all right. Okay, I'm gonna move that around a bit. See, this one I broke off the tree. We will break that there. Most of the edge came off of that. We don't have to trim the burrs off this parts too much. There's a little one on there. Do that quickly. Just shave that off a little bit. Okay, it's not so bad actually. This is a dead part tree now. We can throw that out. But if you're worried, throw it in our bag of bags. Just in case. So there's some parts there. Okay, we've got parts ready. Now, we have all of our other pieces here. And the very first thing we're gonna do is this assembly here, the top part there. So that's one of the wipers. So let's do that. We will need the M3x18. And here's where I can also illustrate again. M3x18, okay, there's the M3x18 right here. And look, if you place it side by side, you can see, yeah, that's 1-to-1. That's how you'll know exactly what the sizings are without breaking out the caliper. And do that because you'll make sure you get the right screws in the right area. I had a couple people message me confused in this area why certain things didn't fit is because they were putting the wrong size screws in the wrong areas. So first thing we do is pop the bearings in. That's pretty straightforward. You may hear me say that a lot, but it's good when things are like that. And if you look here on the parts thing here, there are different sizes of bearings, 4 small ones and 4 slightly larger ones, okay? The bigger ones here, they fit in the wiper arms. So, and these just push right in. Nice and easy. The tolerances are very good. Fit and finish. Bang. Installed. Okay, that's the bearings in. Then we need a small shim, and this is where we're going to open this. Okay, we'll open this little shim package. And we have to be careful because they're so thin. Right now we only need one of them, says the manual. So I'm going to just try to pop one of them out here. Not a big deal if we empty them all out, but because they're so small, I like to leave them in the bag just so I can see. There we go, I got one out. And of course it fell into the magnetic tray, but that's good that it fell in. So I got my shim. Now, RDX bell crank post, the right side. And the right side it illustrates is this part, okay? That part right there, that's the part. So we're gonna put the shim on there. Make sure we get the shim on. There we go, okay, shim is on. Goes on the bottom side like that. Then we lower the arm onto it, okay, like this. So you see that shim just barely in between there. There we go. It should look like that on the top side, nice and flush. And then we just install the screw. Now because this is metal into metal, I'm going to put a small dab of the thread locker. Just a little dab, not a lot. Little dab will do you. Okay, we put a little, see the little bits I've got on the end here? That little bit. I'm just going to tap it gently like that. And you see that? That's more than enough actually. But I can dab it in my mat here a little. There. So see how the thread locker is just wet, I got the threads a little bit wet there. There we go, focus. That's good enough. So we can take our post and install this screw through the post. Okay. Now this post is threaded. So once we start screwing this in, so you're gonna have to screw it in. It's gonna take a little bit to screw it in. So I'm gonna break out the DeWalt here. okay? And we fire it all the way through, and you just make it snug, okay? Now you see how we got the spinny there? You can use the hex, the hex tool to put on this side to just make this little snug. There we go. But you see we're on ball bearings, so see how this part moves freely? There we go. Oh, let me hold the shaft. There, see how it's moving freely? That's what we want. But the screw has screwed all the way, has gone all the way through the post, okay? That's how this goes, but it threads through the right side steering post. So that part is now complete, as we see in the instruction. So now we take the bottom part of the bulkhead, and there's two bottom sides to this. One side has the hex for a nut, and the other side is circle, okay? Now this part installs in the hex side, okay? Installs in the hex. So what we're gonna do, pop the hex nut. We have one of them here. Here it is on the parts tray, okay? So we're gonna take this hex nut, and I'm gonna install it into the bottom of this bulkhead right here. Okay, now it will fall out because it just sits in there. So you can hold your thumb to it, okay? Insert the wiper, but you have to do this the correct way. So it's showing, we'll have the piece, these guys on the back side, all right? But the wiper has to go to the front. So the wiper sits orientated like this, okay? And then, since we have our finger holding the ball stud in the bottom, I'm going to take my 2mm driver here and just turn the screw to get it going. There we go. Now, I'm going to take the DeWalt, finish it, and just snug it up. There we go. See how my driver kicked out there? So now that you just snug it up, there it is. You don't have to tighten it because we have a nylon locker in there for that nut. There, that's the first part of the steering bell crank. Very nice. So that's that. All right, good news. Let me move all this over a little bit just so the close-up camera can get a better view of it. And then the next step is we are going to install, move that out of the way. The next step will be installing this piece here. Where is it? Camera is going to put it up a bit. There we go. So installing this post onto this side, it's a simple screw-in post, so we will do that now. Move that, okay. And I'll get my DeWalt for this. Now this side, it says you use the BH by 10, and there's only one of them. So that's a 12. There's the 10. You can see the difference. And if you put it up to the side, to the manual, you will know. Yep. So this one here, that's the 10, and that one is a 12. And we have two 12s actually here. I forgot. Usually I line all these things up together like this quickly, but we're on camera, so I'm trying not to take too long on each step. Here's our long steering post. This is what we will need. Oh, camera's a little crooked and not center. Fix that there. There we go. Okay. So we can install this now. 10mm post, or sorry, 10mm screw goes in the bottom here. Okay, just like this. And it's ready for this post. And we can put a little dot of Loctite on it, just so it stays together. Perfect. And this, for the most part, you can just finger tighten it because there's nothing else to really hold it unless you grab it with pliers. But when you do this, I just fire it in, tighten it, and it will tighten up. And that'll be good enough for now. You can use pliers if you really want, but this is going to hold because bearings are going to sit on here and it's going to be free flowing. But if you're worried, tighten it up. I just don't want to grip the aluminum and break it. But anyways, or wreck it. So that's how that should look. Okay, when that's installed. Then we can move on to the next part. And that part is very straightforward. That is installing bearings and a ball stud into the other wiper arm and attaching the fixed turnbuckle link. So we will do that now. Okay, so this is the piece. It orientates like so, with this piece on the top, all right, because it goes over top of the other arm. Take our last two bearings, pop it in. Very good, straight in, okay. And then we can place it right onto the shaft here. right on. And you see how that goes over top of the other wiper arm. Very good. And ball stud. All these ball studs are the same. And this is threading into plastic. This is where the DeWalt driver comes in handy, or any sort of driver like that. And thread it in like so. You don't have to go full speed. There, see, and I'm getting the click out. That click action is from my clutch in the gyroscopic screwdriver. But basically, even if you didn't, just thread it slowly and manually torque it. There we go. And that's the ball stud installed. That is for the steering link. And these fixed turnbuckle links, you will notice one side is wider than the other. So the side that has the numbers on it is the smaller side. It's slightly smaller. This side is slightly wider to make life a little easier for installation. So we will clip on this back side onto the ball stud. Actually, I'll pull this off of the thing, click it on. You should be able to do this with just your hands without having to use pliers. So here, if I press this on, like so. Oh, hold on, press it on. Oh, nope, not today. No, maybe not today, says my hands. Let me try one more time with this hand. There we go. Got it. Yes, you should be able to do it without pliers. I just had to use a bit more muscle there. So there we go. So that's on. It will break in if it doesn't feel completely free-flowing at the beginning. There we go. Just have to work it in a little. Should be, there we go, spinning a little more freer. Okay, now we can put this back on our steering rack assembly. So this is how it should look when it's when we're at this point now. Okay, very good. Now the next part is installing the top part of the bulkhead. Right here, we're down at the bottom of the page now. So we have to remember to put one little shim. Remember those shims, these guys? We got to put one of those on top, and then we use the two 12mm screws, which is shown down here on this part of the page. So that part, the top part of the front steering rack assembly, that goes part of the bulkhead. And there's the two 12mm screws, and you can verify the size if you want, and the 0.1 mil shim. So I'll grab another 1 mil shim out of the bag here. We're going to need these later on in life as well. Come on, shim. Magnetic tray, good. Okay, so there's the shim. Pop that on the top there. There we go. See, that's on there now. Okay. And take a top of our bulkhead. And the orientation, that's to the back. And so these holes here will go to the front side, these being the front side of it. Those are the holes that we clip onto these parts. And when you do that and you line it up correctly, you'll notice, you hear that little click, you'll see that this ridge is here, that little ridge there, will click in, almost like Lego, and it will sort of be held together just by that, but then you got to screw it together. This is how it will look once we get the screws in. So let's put the screws in now. There we go. Second screw. Very good. All right, so there's our screws in, and here's our bell crank half assembled. We still need to put the rack on and stuff. That's the next step. So there it is. It's pretty straightforward. Okay, so now we move on to page 3, and this is preparing the turnbuckles here. Sorry, not the turnbuckles, the ball studs for the steering rack. That's what that is. Okay, so ball studs and steering rack. You can see it here. Not very well, actually. There we go. So we just need to put 2 shims and 2 studs here, and then 2 of those fixed link turnbuckles. So here's our steering rack. We already have that ready, but we can prepare that first with the ball studs. We are going to need the 51.7 left and right tie rod, and there's ways to identify them. So 51.7, here they are. Okay, it's these longer ones, 51.7. And it says the left one has the number there. Okay, so then the right one's there. Yeah. So the left one, this will be the left one, this will be the right one. So we'll leave these on right up until we're ready to put them on the rack. That'll be the easiest to identify. Now on the rack itself, the rack part, it wants us to put the ball studs into this hole and this hole. Okay, so we will do that, and we need to, we need to cut 2 of these off. So I'll do that now, quickly. And it's best to cut these off when you need them instead of cutting them off ahead of time. I cut them off ahead of time once and promptly lost a bunch. So it's easier to find that whole thing than it is to find little black circles on the floor, I'll tell you that much. So we got our 2 spacers. One has a little burr on it. I'm just going to get rid of that little burr quickly. Okay, that's that. Good enough. 2 ball studs, there they are. And so, best way, ball stud, okay? Spacer, right on the ball stud there. Yep. Then we're going to put it into the inner hole. So let's do the 1. 1, 2. There we go. So that's that. Okay. Now to do the turnbuckles, same thing. I'm going to press them on just like I did for the other ones. And hopefully it doesn't break my hand. So 57.1. This is the left side. Cut the trim, the excess off. And this is the left side, so it goes this way. Yep. And should be able to press it in. Oh, no, my hands are not cooperating. Nope, not today. Okay, so if your hands don't cooperate, mine are giving up already. You use pliers, okay? This is why we have the pliers. And, oh, that way, there we go. Orientate it so when the rack sits down like this, the numbers are face up like that, you see? And if you have to use pliers, angle the turnbuckle on its side, grab your plier, put one plier on the turnbuckle and the other on the back side of the ball stud, and simply clamp shut. Oh, there we go. See, that one's on. You just put a few teeth marks on the turnbuckle. I don't like doing that, but my hands aren't cooperating, so that's what we're going to do for time being. Trim that off, and we'll do the same thing down here with the pliers. And make sure the orientation is correct. There we go. And, oops, take your pliers and clip. There we go. Right in. So once you've got the ball studs and the turnbuckles in, it should look like this, and your numbers should look like that. The numbers will be facing backwards because the way it's orientated, but that's okay. The numbers will read from the backwards. This is the front side, so they'll read from looking at back to front. But this is how it's orientated, and that's how that part goes. So now we have that part done. Okay. The next part after that is the bottom part of page 3. We will install this rack to the wiper arms. To do that, we have to install bearings into the rack there and put 2 shims between the installation screws, the pins there, and the bearing there. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. First thing, we will install the bearings. Here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Top and bottom. Magnet tray holding them in very good. So there we go. 1, just press them straight in. See that? Press in. Right here. Press in. And here. Press in. Good. Got our 2 drive pins right here. Very nice. Before we put them on, we're going to add 2 shims to them. So now I'm going to put the shims. I'm not going to drop them onto the magnet mat this time. Put them on the felt mat. Need 2 of them. Okay, so there's, well, that's 4. It's too many. Put some back in the bag here. Come on. There we go. Okay, cool. Oh, one didn't go. There it goes. All right, wicked. So, for your pins here, you can see it on the small cam or the close-up cam. Put these on the pins first. It'll make your life easier. So there's 1. There's 2. Get it all the way on the bottom there. Come on. Come on. There we go. So get the spacer all the way to the bottom of the screw there. All right, so now I'm going to pre-thread these, pre-screw them in with my 2 mil. Okay, we got our shim on the end there. Now what we got to do is lay the rack in front here. You can see it on, you can see it. This is going to mount pretty much like that. So first, take the screw, put it in to the bearing with the shim on it. See the shim there? Okay. Feed it through. Now this one is going to get screwed to this wiper, this one here. So do this. I like to just pre-screw it in a bit. Just get the thread going. There we go. Okay, that's 1. Don't worry. We're going to put the other one in. Here's the other one with the shim on it. Same thing. If you don't get the screw in straight, see, look, I've put this in a bit crooked. It's all right. Just kind of straighten it out a bit. Yeah, that didn't go as planned. Okay, anyways, I'll hold that while we put the next one in. Let me feed the next one. I was going to say, if it is not exactly straight, don't worry, because you'll straighten it out as you tighten it all up. Mine kind of popped out of place here, but that can happen. Not a big deal. Okay, so thread this next one. Come on. Come on. Come on. There we go. Come on. You may have to push a little. There we go. Got it. Okay, so let me fix this guy because he went all wonky. Didn't get it threaded in enough. So you may have to thread it in a little bit better. My bearing popped out there. And then my plan was to use the DeWalt just to drive them in to save a bit of time. So here we go. Here's the DeWalt. Okay. 1, 2. Here we go. And always check for fluid operation after. Oh yeah, nice and smooth. Very fluid, no binding. Make sure there is no binding. Okay, so we're good to go there. That is complete now. And as it says, after we complete that step, the steering bell crank is complete. And over here, they're just referencing if you feel some backlash or if you want to adjust that and add more or take some out, you can. And that's why they provide a couple others. But essentially, at this point, step 1 is complete, the steering bell crank. So now we can move this guy aside. We can put him over here because he's a completed assembly. We can move on to step 2, which is installing the steering bell crank and front bulkhead. That's this stuff here. Okay. So how do we do that? We have to install suspension mount. The camera a bit. Whoops. So we have to install the front lower suspension mount 4 screws, and there's a positive and a negative side. We install it positive side up, I believe. Instructions will be installed on the positive side. That's the standard, but you can install it on the negative for different mounting. It's up to you, but we're going to do the positive side. And then right after we do that, then we install the steering bell crank right on top. From there, we progress to moving to the front bulkhead. So we'll do that page 4. Let's go. We need our chassis plate. We can take it out of the bag. There it is, the chassis plate. The camera is getting moved around a good amount, but that's okay. It'll be moved around periodically through this video. It's not really going to have a set position. And I'm going to manipulate it and change it throughout just so make sure we can see everything and learn as I go. It's the first ever big car build video I've done. So here we go now. We're on to the next step. So this area is the battery area. Back here, we're going to work up here. So we're going to put that area up there. Bag 2. I need bag 2. Here's bag 2, everybody. Yeah, I got a better angle on the close-up camera now. You can see a little more, a little better. So that's bag 2. Let's get rid of that bag. That in there. Screws and things. Put that in there. Put that over there. So, just like to quickly sort my screws and studs to make your life easy when you go to find them. 10, 10, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 12, 12, 10, 10 looks like. All those look the same. Okay, that just makes your life easy for finding them. Okay. I like to do that as a personal touch. So these we're going to have to cut off right away. This is the upper piece, so might as well just trim it now. That's the bottom part of page 4. No real burr there, we're okay. It's a staple, that's garbage. And this piece here, this is extra, so we will cut that off. Or just not yet. Yep. So that's a piece for later. We'll need that though. We don't need that anymore. This we will need. So they were talking about positive side, negative side. Positive side, mounting it that way, negative being that way. We're going to mount positive, and it does matter which way it goes. And the narrow side is the front, so you can see narrow side, bigger side. The narrow side's the front, so that will go. That will go up here, like so. Or is it? Yeah, it's right there. That's where that will go. And these two, that's the shock tower. We're going to need that later. And this is the other part of the front bulkhead that we're going to need shortly later. So we'll put that all there. We're going to need that. How's everybody doing? Let me know. How's everything going so far in terms of the build video in the comments? Okay, so let's put this together. 4 of these 8mm screws. So 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that I'm separating. Okay. So this is just straightforward. The bottom of the chassis is countersunk, and this goes right in. So same thing. You can start by pre-threading 1. At least if it's like 4 screws, I like to do this where I pre-thread 2 of them. Let's say 1, 2. Pre-thread 2. So I've got that pre-threaded, right? Then I can take my my electric screwdriver here, go them in a little further, and then use the electric screwdriver to do the rest of the work for the other ones. And by the time I get to the 3rd screw, I usually start tightening it, because then the other 2 have done the placement. And then when I tighten these up, everything is all aligned. There we go. Those are all snug and snug. You don't really have to reef them down, just have to make them snug. And if you have one of those electric screwdrivers with the lockout clutch, you'll hear hear it kick out when it tightens at torque number 7. Anyways, so that's that part. Okay, that's the lower suspension mount for the front installed. That part. Now we can take the bell crank unit, this whole thing, this whole guy here. Okay, this thing. We're going to take that and we're going to install it right over top of that suspension mount. And that takes 2 of the 8mm screws, which are these, 1, 2. And it's going to screw into this area right here. And it simply sits right here. Just make sure your turnbuckles are off to the side when you do it. Okay. Now this time I'm just going to take my screwdriver, hold the apparatus, and use my screwdriver, the electric screwdriver, I should say, to find the hole, pre-thread it, and just do it partially. And then the other side here, you can pre-thread it with a manual if you want. Once you get good at this, you can do it the way I'm doing it. It's like riding a bike, you never forget it. So there's the second one. Get it mostly lined up. Yeah, that's pretty good. I'll just back that out a teeny bit because I want to do this side. Excellent. And then the other side. Excellent. Done. So that's installed, and it should look like this. And then at this time, if you want, you can test your steering. Look. Looking, working good. Heck yes. And that's the steering rack assembly installed on the chassis. Bottom of the middle of page 4. So now we're going to move to the bottom of page 4, which is still bag 2, and that's installing all these pieces. This is the front half of the bulkhead, like I showed off already. So let's just jump to it. what do we need? We need all the rest of the pieces. So the 8mm, let's install the bulkhead first. So we need this piece and this piece, okay? Now we have to make sure that these holes are on the back side of the car. This is the front side. So these things here will connect in like this, okay? See this? And when it connects in, it won't really snap, but it'll fit in. It'll sort of stay together. Look, see, kind of like Lego, which is nice. But that makes your life easy for the next part, because you will need the 8mm screws, which are these guys, to the 8mm. You can check them on the manual for the 1-to-1 sizing if you need, like I illustrated in the beginning. But for this, we take our 8mm screws and we screw them straight into the upper part of the bulkhead here. 1, 2. That's tight. That's tight. That's very straightforward. Bang. So that's the front half of the front bulkhead. And then we can install the shock tower, which is this piece. This one fits either way, same way. There's no one way to do it. It'll go universal. And that sits right on these little ridges on top of those holes there. Bang, bang, plant, plant. See, it'll go either way. See, if I install it there, it looks right. If I install it like this way, it looks right. So anyway, you can do it. And then that just sits there, and it will sit there without screws, which is handy. So you can do the same thing. And we need the 12mm for that. And I'm just going to verify. I believe that one is the 12mm. Yes. Okay. So it's these two, the 12mm. Same thing. They go right in the top of the shock tower. And we can do that by just using our DeWalt, our electric screwdriver. I'm going to refer to this thing as both the DeWalt and the electric screwdriver, just for future reference. There's the shock tower screwed together. Now, on the sides of the shock tower, we have to install the ball studs, which are those guys. Same thing. Take your screwdriver, and it makes your build so much easier if you have one of these. I mean, you can use a regular drill with a locking clutch or anything with a locking clutch. This is just nice and handheld, and gets the job done. Straightforward. And for making threads in these plastics that don't have threads, that saves your wrist action, all of this. So that's why I'm using it, because I've built so many things. My wrists cannot take repetitive action like that too much at my current age of 40. So there's the front bulkhead with the studs installed and the shock tower installed. That is mostly complete. That now screws onto the top of the car here at top of page 5. You can see here. So the 10mm screws at the back and the countersunk 8mm at the bottom. And then after that, we would be installing a servo, but we don't have the servo currently. So I will prepare the servo horn, put it off to the side. Actually, prepare the servo horn, connect it to the piece there, the turnbuckle for it, for the bell crank, and then install the mounts into the car with these screws and spacers there, as if there was a servo there, just as a placeholder, just so you get the idea. And then at the bottom, it's just installing those servo mounts and connecting the servo horn and stuff. So we will do that all without a servo, basically. We'll save some time, because the electronic set is coming from the owner's other car, I think. So that's what it's going to be. Let's install that. And this mostly just sits here, right? So that you just place it right there, okay? And it won't sit there by itself. So I'm going to convert my screwdriver so it stands up and down. Look at that, nice. And we're going to install the 10mm screws on the back side here. Excuse me, 1, 2. And then the bottom ones, on the bottom of the chassis, right at the front here. See that? 1. 2. And then make sure you tighten these guys. I left them untightened on purpose so that the fitment would be all correct for the installation, and everything will be good and no binding. And there we have no binding. So that is done. Now we can move on to bag 3, and that is the servo stuff. So where are we here? Bag 3. It's a small bag. Very small bag, as we saw in the unbox video. Because it's just the servo stuff, and we don't need that. That's for the antenna. We don't need that because we're not running old stuff. So immediately I'm going to cut off the 25 tooth 21 mil horn and trim the excess off of that. Remove the two servo mounts. And these mounts, it matters sort of which way you put it on the servo. We're going to save this. We won't need it later, but we'll save it. There is two different ways because the servo block has holes not in the middle, so it will change the orientation of which way you mount on which side. See, there's the hole goes both sides. So one side has this cutout, which acts as the back side. That's the side that you put away from the servo. So the servo would mount to this face, this side. That's where I'll put the screw in. That's to where I'll illustrate it for y'all. And you'll notice how it's actually supposed to be, how the servo is actually supposed to be installed. So there's the screws from this step. So let me separate some of these. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and those are the mounts. This one would be for the servo horn, so this one would be going up here, and I'll place it with the servo horn. This is going to go with the servo horn as well, but it will go into it, and those are our spacers for it. So this part, not very difficult at all. Take our screw, okay, take our spacer, and we're going to screw it right into this mount, except I'm going to leave it like that. Same for the other side. One, two. Okay. Now that's the way the servo would be technically installed, or the side it would be installed on. And then for the bottom of the chassis, let's do one at a time. The first spot the servo is going to get mounted is up here in the front. So let's do this mount first at the very front of the car. If I can, yeah, here we go. Do it that way. There. So this will go in the front of the car. Oh, there we go. Got it to bite. That's one. Okay. And then same thing on the other side, right there. Can we see that? Yes, I can't, but you can. Perfect. So that's how that'll go. Yeah, so there's the servo area. That's where it'll mount to. And then just for the sake as if we had a servo, here's the servo horn. The ball stud for this guy goes on the back side of the horn, so this way. There we go. See, so the ball stud is on the back, facing the back side where the servo teeth are. And then we will use our trusty pair of pliers and just clip this guy in here because I don't want to break my hands no more. Trying to do these ball studs, which they're putting up a fight today. There we go, that is in, and there we go. Oh, I did it the wrong side. Pop it out and pop it back in. Okay, so it's supposed to, whoa, sorry about that. It's supposed to go this side. There we go. Get in there, you. Yes, there we go. That's how it should orientate, and that's how it will go. And turn the bell crank. See it turning there? Yee. Excellent. So that's that. That's bag 3, step 3, installing the servo. So we don't have the servo, but that's how it would be done. Moving along. So this is installation of the rear suspension now. This is step 4. Page 6. So bag 4 we need for this. Here's bag 4. Bag 4. Okay, so bag 4. Let's empty out all of our parts. Don't need that, don't need that. Oh, jeebus. Okay, get rid of that. Screws and stuff. Sort them quickly. A bunch of 8s, 10 and 12 countersunks, and 2 ball studs. Here we have a lot of parts on the trees. We're gonna have to cut these apart. Cut these off. We're gonna need all of these pieces. So let's start pulling them off here. I'm looking for excess plastic. Yeah, these ones, yeah, that popped off. Yeah, they pop off. Some of these are going to have some extra plastic, and that's okay. That's a dead tree now. Trim the plastic stuff off. One. Come on. There we go. It's funny how sometimes that little bits put up a fight. Just trim that stuff off so it doesn't get stuck. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. These ones have a little bit. Whoa, where are you going? Don't leave us now, we need you. Okay, so those are those pieces. Those are off, and we can do these. Break that off, break that off. We need these shims as well. These are for the underside. These go along with these pieces. Yep. Okay, so these, you can bend them off. Just carefully bend them right here. Here we go. And the brace pieces, that's those. Okay, and that's a dead tree. All right, so here we are, page 4. So what we got to do, okay, is this has to be done first. We have to assemble these arms and put these pins and spacers all together. That won't be super difficult. We just have to put the right spacer sizes on the right sides and make sure 45B and A are on the correct sides. Then we can bolt up all the mounting hardware, the suspension mounts, and the braces. And then that will be a complete assembly where it'll all just stay together, which is really nice. So let's get started on bag number 4, step 4, installation of the rear suspension arm. So if we laid this out, 62 is the back side, for example, 61.2 is the front side. We would have 45A. Oh, wait, in the manual, they're showing it like this. Okay, so if we look at it like this in the manual, 45A is on this side, that's 45A, and 45B would be on that side, physical orientation, just so you can see it, okay? So what we'll do is we will install the ball studs first into the rear arms. Let's do that. They want it in 45A in this hole, okay? There it is, okay? Second ball stud in this hole. Very good. Now we can do the pins. Insert the pins like so. Okay, now those may fall out, so be careful. Then we want to put one of these thick spacers on this, would be the front side here. Okay, one each. See it? One each. Then take one of the pillow ball mounts, slide it over the end of each of those front side. Then for the back side, they want a small one and then a big one, so we'll follow the orientation. Small one, big one, okay, and then a pillow ball. And that is complete. Same with this side. Small one, big one, and then pillow ball. Excellent. Okay, so that is that. Now, we can install the braces. And that's these pieces. Now you'll notice the braces, if we look at it straight on, see how that part is angled downward? We want that. That angled down part is going to go to the chassis. So it's going to sit like this, okay? So to make my life make your life easy, make all of our lives easy here, the best way to do this is pick one of these sides. Let's pick this side, which was the back side, and we will pre-thread in these guys ahead of time. So we need the 12 mil screws. That's these ones here, 2 of them. I'm going to take the electric screwdriver here, feed the screw through the suspension mount, let it hang, and put on one of our braces. But I'm going to do it just snug. just kind of snug enough that I can rotate it, because see how that's not exactly straight? We're going to have to move this, and it's going to screw on when we get to the installing on the chassis. So you can just snug these up, and if they move, it's not a big deal. You're going to have to reposition them anyway. So let's do that again. Here. Snug so we can move it. Yep, cool. Very good. Get it positioned roughly the way we want it. Yeah, just have to back it off a touch. There we go. Okay, so that's all right. Then, to make your life gloriously easy, take the suspension arm here, pop the pillow ball into this end here. It should just pop in. Why aren't you popping in? What the? Pop in. Okay. That's what the heck? That's supposed to just pop in. Give me a second here. Try the other one. There we go. Yeah, they're supposed to just roll sort of. Yeah, see, these don't stay on, so just be careful if this happens to you. Put the pillow ball back in there, and we will wiggle this back in. Oh, the other one fell out. Okay, no, what? Something's not right here. That should not be like that. Hold on. Did they actually put certain size pill? No, there's no way. Certain size pillow ball for the certain size side? I don't think that's a thing. Sus ball mount, no. Okay, well that one's fallen off. That one's in there. Ugh. Okay, hold on. This step's getting a little out of hand. There, oh, I got the pillow ball in. Okay, so strange. Wouldn't go in the way I wanted it to, but all right. So just be careful when you do this, because sometimes the pillow balls may pull up a fight. I don't remember that being a thing. There we go. And then that goes in there. Okay, very good. That pillow ball will go on the end. Very good. So I said to make your life easy, but it didn't really go as easy as it was supposed to. So then after that, let's wiggle this in here on this arm, and that should just slip in. Same for the other side. We should just be able to just press them in. One side went in really easy, and the other side is putting up a fight. Small fight. Yes, why is it putting up a fight? That's not right. Okay, so let's do it this way then. Let's take this apart, just slightly. One pillow ball's in. This other one's putting up a fight. That one went in. We'll do it this way. We'll put the pillow ball in before anything else. For some reason, this pillow ball, look at it. These pillow balls are putting up a fight, and that doesn't make sense. I'll have to press it in, I guess, because we should just be able to push it in with our finger, and this one's not cooperating. Look at that. That's not right, man. There we go. I had to push it in. Wow, that's different, because that normally never happens. It's just really tight. Okay, so that's something that's different than previous. The one side was tighter than the other. It must be the plastic. Okay, something to note. Just FYI, if you have that issue, yeah, just work with it. Push the pillow ball in with a tool or something, but it should just slip right in. Two of them slipped in, and two of them put up a fight. So that was kind of interesting. And then after that, yeah, you should be good once the pillow balls are. There we go. Click, click, push, push. And now we have everything is in place. This is holding in because those support pieces have clicked into the suspension mount. And those pillow balls have gone all the way in. We have fluidity. So on this part, now we're going to put screws on this side here, where this is, here and here. So we will do that now with two more 12 mil screws. They're there, 1, 2, and like so. See, our mount moved there, so we'll just loosen it a little bit and spin it back down. You can hold them if you want, just so they don't move when you tighten. Might be a good idea, actually. And then if they're not straight, just make them straight. There we go. Straight as they can get. The screws will straighten them out. There we go. Flatten them out. There we go. So there is the rear suspension arm assembly there. There's where the shocks will go. So this is the back side. That's the front side. That's how they want it to look. That's how it looks in the manual. And that is the end of page 6, rear suspension. Now for the page 7, not too much to do here. We have to put 6 screws into the lower chassis to mount the rear suspension, and we will also use the 1mm spacers and the runner spacers as well. And there's a trick for that, and I'll show you. So, and then after that, it's assembling the spool from step 5, bag 5, and that's very, very straightforward. So we'll get into that now. Continuing from bag 4, we still have 6 screws here and the spacers, and that's what we're going to do next. So this is where it goes on, and it slides right over these holes here. Okay, this suspension mount mounts right up against the chassis, right there. So it's pretty easy to find the holes once you line that up, and then away you go. So to make life simple for yourself in terms of these shims, these guys anyway, the other shims aren't so difficult, but these ones can get a little pesky. So what I like to do, take one screw and feed it through. Okay, we'll put that over there. Feed it through, let's say, this hole. Take your shim, just place it on, doesn't matter where it goes. Take your rear suspension mount with the 62 in the rear and pre-thread a hole. And away we go. See, that's already on there now, so that's good. See, then we just line it up with this other hole for the other side and thread it in. Oh, line it up. There we go. See, now that shim is in there and the screws are in there, but they're loose. And we did that on purpose so we could do these other shims. Okay. So same thing. So prepare your screw, prepare your shim, line it up with the hole. There we go. Lined up. Flip it over, put your screw in. Oh, see, look, wrong hole. Come out. Screw fall out. Pick the wrong hole, ladies and gentlemen. So when you pick the right hole, there we go. Thread it through. Oh, come on. There we go. Put some pressure there. Just get a little pre-thread, see, and then the shim won't go anywhere. And then you just line it up with the other hole. Prepare your screw. Okay. Line it up with your other hole. Hold it down. Oh. Make sure the shim is lined up. There we go. And thread it through. And then I've tightened that one. Leave it a bit loose because we're gonna need it. Just fix that one. Okay, so then with these round ones, life is a little bit more not as difficult because we have access to get in here and get the shim in there. So same thing. This one I would do, put the shim under the hole, line it up, and then press down right here, press down, and put your screw in the bottom into the correct hole. Oh, it fell out. It fell out, I wasn't pushing hard enough. Okay, hold on. So that and that, and push down. And get the screw in, there we go. Screw is in and through, just gotta thread it. Leave it loose. Just so you'll have a little more dexterity and room when you go to do this last one. Okay, line it up, push down, get our screw in there. Oh, it's not lined up. It fell out. There we go. Did it fall out again? Come on. There we go. Oh. There we go. Gotcha. Okay. So now we can tighten all the rest of these up. I like to do it in a star pattern. There we go. And then just make sure your suspension arms move freely, which they do. Excellent. So that is the end of the rear suspension. Those are on. Those spacers are in. Car's coming along, right? Looking pretty good so far. Very good. So if we're at this point, we are just coming up to the middle of page 7. So we will continue on here. Bag number 5. There's 11 bags total, so we're almost halfway, just about. And bag 5 is a very easy bag because it's just a diff spool. A lot of car kits start with the diff, and I'm surprised Reve-D didn't, but that's okay, because right after we do the diff, we move straight into the transmission. Come on, staple. No. Come on, staple. Thank you. So here's our diff pieces, and here's 2 of our ball bearings that we will need. Most of these come pre-oiled, so I kind of stopped putting oil on bearings during assembly, but you can if you want. These ones already have some oil in them. Okay, so let's do that. I illustrated the process already. So we take this spur gear mount, or spur gear diff spool mount. The gear is the same both sides. Doesn't matter which way you put it. Simply insert the gear onto the spool and line up the holes. So line up the holes. There we go. See, the holes are lined up now. And you take 4 of these guys, the 8 mils, and simply install 4 of them. So 1, do it snug first, or well, loose and then snug. 1, 2. They will have some sort of a pattern here. Basically a screw every other hole, as you can see. All right, so screw every other hole there, right? So now we'll go ahead and tighten them. Oh yes. Makes your life so much more easier and easier on your wrist, that screwdriver. Next, we then insert the out drives. But before we insert the out drives, we must put in the bearings, which are right here. And they simply push over the edges there and there. Bang, bang, look at that. So then you take the out drive and the key insert there. You can see that there's only one way to put it in. So those slot right in there very nicely. Simply and effectively, and you take your 12 mil screw here, 1 on each end. 1, and then we flip-flop it for the other side here. 2, there we go. So there's our diff, and that is the end of page 7. And the end of step 5, which is assembling the diff spool. But we have no transmission to put it in yet, so that's okay. We'll put it here and leave it there. Then step 6, bag 6, is assembling the transmission. And this is where we get into a bunch of stuff. And halfway through the transmission installs where we start doing battery holders. So that's where we go a certain point and skip a bunch of steps. So then this point, here, we put the bearings in the idler gears first. You make 2 sets of them, so we'll have 2. And then we start building up the transmission with the transmission case and screws and stuff. And this is very simplistic. It's not too difficult. It's only certain areas that those parts can go in. So if we open it up, bag 6. There's a lot of parts in this bag, a lot of plastic parts, and I'd say a handful of screws and stuff. So let's do the screws first. Dun, 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 dun. And most people, I recommend when they build their cars that they build them box stock first and run them box stock so you get a good feel for the car. If you're a bit of an enthusiast, like me, you already kind of know what you're going to do with certain cars, definitely just tune it right on the bench. Nothing wrong with that. I just like to establish a baseline so I know where the car was from factory assemble and what the manufacturer suggested to start with, and then go from there. There's only really a handful of cars that actually say, okay, it's up to you what to do here, or this or that, or that don't even come with instructions and just come in Ziploc bags with photos. Those are fun because you could do whatever you want with those, but you have to know what you're doing. So we got some screws here, 1 set of screws, and then we got some more screws down here. Okay, so we got some 10 mils, some 8 mils, 15s, and 12s. Got a little bit of everything here. These are button heads. The other ones are countersunk. Okay, those and those. Those are the same. So we got 2 of those, 4 of those, 2 of those. Okay, cool. There we go. You'll see it all in the what will be needed and what is contained in each bag on the instruction manual. As you see, this is just for building's sake. It makes your life easier when you put parts like this together, and they're easier to find. Okay, now here's our aluminum motor mount. We're going to need that in a minute. All of these parts, I'm going to get them all off here. I'm going to break them all off because we're going to need pretty much all of them, except for, I'm just going to slightly go ahead here. For shorty lipo, normal. Okay, we only need this one. This is the big one. And this piece, and we might not need that piece. Put that over there. Because when we do the gearbox, there's a few extra optional bits we'll need if we do different installation of the battery. But we're only going to use certain pieces. Okay, so that looks pretty good. All those came off the trees pretty easily. No extra slag. So it's the very first thing we do. We take these 2 gears and we press bearings into them. Here they are. Okay, so I can move that down a little bit there. There we go. So you take your bearing, press it in, like so, both sides. Very nice. And these gears are pretty tough. They stand up to quite a lot of abuse, to be honest. Probably replace them every 1.5 to 2 years on most cars with proper transmission installations and stuff. So they tend to last quite a long time, whether they're in Yokomos or Reve-Ds. Once we've got the bearings in the gears here, those are done, then we can start doing the transmission itself. To do that, we got to take the big piece, which is this guy, this one here, position it like this. And first we're going to take another bearing and install it onto the end of the input shaft here, because that gets shoved into this part of the transmission, like so, and you just press it in. The gear should sit about roughly like that when it's installed. And you can test the bearing, make sure it's good, very good. So after that, we take the 2 poles, these things, the idler shafts, and they are threaded, so we're going to insert screws into them. And we can do that. I'm going to just dab them with a little bit of Loctite, the 2 screws. Those are the 8 mils, so these ones here. Just put a little dab of Loctite. A thread locker, I mean. Don't need a lot. And prepare the screw. There's only 2 spots those go, here and here. So I'm going to put the one in first. Oh, geez, I forgot. The plastic bites this good, and you get a good tighten. And I hit my thumb there. But anyways, pressing on. And let's not break our fingers this time. Very good. Okay, so those are installed. And then we simply slide the gears onto those idlers. 1, 2, there we go. Okay, you can move them around there. Ooh, transmission. Very good. So that's that part. After that, we take the last bearing here, pop it onto the end of the input shaft. Oh, like so. There we go. Pop it on. It should be good. And then we will take the other half of our transmission case and clip it on. So it is all installed. The bearing will sit in this area here. Okay, hear it click on. You can spin the transmission at this point. Even though it's not screwed together, you can still spin it. So we got to put 2 screws there and there for the idlers, and then 2 more for the transmission itself. And those are the 15s. So that's these 2, the 15 mil button head, and these last 2 countersunk idler screws. So I'll put a dab of Loctite on each. Dab, dab. Loctite's off camera, or the thread locker. So here we go. Snug it up. Snug it up. And then these will be digging into plastic here. You can hear the tool working, the difference between going to metal and plastic. Same thing here. Double check your transmission. Nice and free. That is half the transmission assembly right there. We don't have our motor mount on or anything yet. But this next step's on page 9. This is where we do the trap door, the gear case top. There it is. That is for if we move the motor up, top, all the way up, we have to take that cover off. But it also helps to check your transmission gears just to see what state they're in. So it's like a trap door as well. And then we move on to the battery mounting installation, which is part of the rear transmission. So there's some parts from this we won't do. And then once we finish this battery part, yeah, the shape of the top deck differs depending on the battery. So basically what they've done is we will move over. No, sorry, never mind. Shorty lipo. Shorty lipo. Right. Okay. So this is where we begin to do the short battery lipo by putting these parts here. Okay, repairing these parts on this part of the bottom part of page 9. Then after we complete that, then we move on to the battery. And this is for the horizontal battery. So we'll just move the camera up here. So horizontal battery, we start here, okay, go here. We go all the way over to page 13. Once we're done page 13, we then skip all the way to 29 because that's it. All these pages in between here are illustrating the different battery mounts. And once we've done that, page 21 is where we'll end up, step 8. So at this part here, completion of short lipo horizontal battery mount, proceed to step 8. That's where we jump all the way up here, okay? Just so you know, just want to illustrate that. All right. But it is slightly confusing in the beginning there just because you feel like you might have to do certain things ahead of time or whatever, but no. It's just a little, the manual there sort of gets a bit confusing all at once, but it will make more sense once we go through this stuff together. So now that we've got some screws and stuff to finish, we put the trap door, here's the trap door. So let's do the trap door. It simply just fits like that and installs with a screw. An 8mm button head is one of these guys. And I just like to install it snug. You don't have to reef it on there. Snug. Because if you want, you just loosen it, right? And trap door. Check it out. Cool, right? So there it is. So that part is installed. That's the top of page 9. And then beginning the short lipo installation, shorty lipo installation, I should say. That's what we're going to use. We will need this brace. Okay, we will need this part. It slots in right here, right there. Okay, and it's going to screw in there and go onto the bottom of the chassis along with the bottom of the transmission casing. So that's the first thing it wants us to do. Is put that in. So 2 12mm button heads. So that would be these guys because those are 10 mils. I'm pretty sure those are 10s. Yeah. Okay, so 2 12mm to hold this brace in. So let's do that now. Oh, there we go. And just snug it up. Whoops. Just snug it up because it's going to move around. Yeah, there we go. You're gonna have to tilt it or move it a little bit anyway to make it flat most anyway for the chassis. And when you screw it together, it'll go flat. Then the next part is putting a screw in that hole right there. Okay, right there, and that they call for a 15mm. That's this guy. Last one on the set here, and it simply goes in. Done. Okay, so if you did short battery, this is the only other thing to point out. If you're doing the short battery, it's that piece. If you're doing the long battery, it's that piece. So we're no longer going to need that piece. We can put that off to the side. Areas we don't need it. So we're doing the short battery, so we can move on now from page 9. And just the last note here, the top deck and fan mount from bag 6 will be used at a later process. So save them. Don't throw them away. That would be these pieces, top deck and fan mount. Okay, now we can move on to page 10. Page 10 shows us that we will install the diff, finally. Install the diff and put the rear case on, and then do the normal motor position mounting. That's how you do the high mount, but we're doing the low. At that point, the gear case assembly is completed, but we still need to continue the horizontal battery mounting, which is continued through page 11 all through there, and then finishes on page 13. So we'll go through it as we flip pages here. So let's continue. Install the spool from step 5. Very easy. Take our spool diff, okay? And the way we want to install it is they want this back side of the diff where there is no screws to go with this, okay? So see how the input shaft's on the other side here? So they want the non-screw side like that, and that's how it goes, and you can spin it in there. Look at that. Eee, very good. And then we just put the gear cover on like so, and it's got the holders for the bearings there. There it is. And it says Reve-D on the back of it. Very nice. And that just slots in like so. Okay. Slots in, and then we put 4 screws so you can do a star pattern. And we use the 10 mil screws for that. Yes, we do. So let's go ahead and put in these screws. First 2 I'm going to do loose, and then I'll tighten the 3rd and 4th, and then back to the original 2. Well, I just tightened that one. Okay, and then tighten. Okay, that's good. Everything feels good. So normal motor position for the motor mount. That's where the fan goes, right there. Right there. So we're gonna put that in. And here we go. So the screws go on these area right here. Okay. So we're gonna put that there. And we will just push that on. There it is. We've pushed it on, and make sure those holes line up with the transmission. You can see it. And the last 3 screws we have here are going to bolt this on. So let's go ahead and bolt this on like so. All right. 2, and the 3rd one. Very good. So there it is installed. That is the normal motor position there. Okay, normal motor position, and that will allow us to have the motor in the mid of the chassis, mid-high, not high-high. So that's what that is. And at that point, the gear case is complete. So that is the complete transmission. We then have to then install the battery mount, which we're going to move right into now, the standard battery mount. So assembly the battery holder. So we need some stuff from bag 7. So let's dive into bag 7. Actually, yeah, we pretty much start bag 7 now. So let's open this all up. Bag 7. So those are the battery holder mounts. This is for the other battery mounts we will not need. Same with that. And we need those braces, chassis braces. This is part of this. These are part of the mounts. These are falling off, so let's take them off. 2 plastic spacers. Let's put them there. Dead tree. Oh, look, see? In the bag, look, one part fell off, and it did not come out of the bag. So good thing I kept it. We're going to need that. That's part of the battery mounting, where that clips there, the battery holder clips in. And we won't need that part either, I don't think. Okay, so, and then we need that piece and this and this. So we break them all off the tree, and that is now an empty tree. There we go. Okay, now we got a bunch of screws to deal with here. Screws, and this is a pin assembly, which pin and nut, and a cotter pin. I'm pretty sure that is for the optional battery area, which we won't install, but I'll take that out anyway. We got a bunch more screws here. Those are all the button heads. These ones are all the countersunk screws. And then we just sort them quickly. 6 mils, 6 mils, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. A lot of 6 mils. Yes. Okay, so those are 6 mils, 8 mils, 15 millimeters. Should be 4 of those. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of those and 2 of those. Yes. Everything else is 6. Okay, and sort these guys. 6, 6, 6, 6. This is like half your life. Sorting the dang screws. It just makes your life easy when we're going through the build here so that you can quickly find them. There's a lot of 10s up there. 10, 10, 10, 10. That's an 8. 10, 10. 10, 10, 10, 10. 8, 8, 8, 8. Come on, come on. That goes over there. Those go there. 10, 10, 10, 10. And 12. There we go. Okay, that's better. Okay, now we can do the battery holder. Let's start. So we need 2 of the 10 mils. That's these guys. No, that's these guys. We need these 2. This is, well, before we do that, actually, let's get rid of this. Now we need pliers for this. Get rid of this plastic junk in the middle of that. Very good. Step down a bit. Okay, so first thing, we need the big battery tray, this guy. We're going to put screws in there and mount it to the bottom of here. Okay, here and here. So that's what we're going to do right there. Thread them in with the screwdriver, the electric one. Whoops. One, and then we'll get the other one threaded in here before we tighten them both. Whoopsie doodles. There we go. 1 and 2. Okay, so that is installed there. Next, where is it? Okay, so next we install the side holders, and that's these pieces. And they have 3 holes, but we're putting screws in the front 2 there. Same with the other side, and those are the 12 mil button heads, which are these guys. You can just double check if you want. Yep. So the front 2 holes here. There's 1. And then 2. Then this thing will start standing more upright. 1 and 2. Okay, see that? 1 and 2. And then we just continue to install those. Awesome. Now we'll do the other side. 1, 2. Okay, so now that we've got the battery side holder mounts installed, at this point, this is where we're going to put these spacers in for thin battery. Screws go here and here. Whoops, here and here. Okay. So we can start that now. We will need the button head 8 mil. That's these guys. So put the screw in and hold the piece to it. And they install this way. This side being up here. This is the top. Okay, so they got the 1 there. That's one of them. We'll go for the second. Just get this lined up, find the hole, and if I can see what I'm doing. There we go. No, come on. That's one of them. And find the other side. Okay. There we go. Excellent. All right, so after that, we can flip the page because we're using a thin battery, so we put those bars in. Now we can do the battery holders, the side holders. So if I just show that off again quickly, battery side holders here and here, okay, all this stuff. We add these spacers if we were using a long battery, but we're not, so we're just putting those pieces on, and then it'll look like that. And then we clip on the battery holders, and then that part is done. And then we move on to putting on the spur gear just to finish off the transmission, bolting that entire assembly onto the rear of the chassis using a lot of screws, 8 of them, and then completing the sidebars, essentially what is the top deck of the chassis, the side rigidity bars onto the chassis. You can get those in aluminum as well, shiny edge aluminum. That's what prevents the middle from flexing and gives us the top deck, essentially. And at that point, then we're done the horizontal shorty battery mount, and we would jump from page 13 to page 21. So let's do that now. So I'm going to keep this sort of looking like the camera about there so you can see everything. Hopefully the camera's in good view. I'm trying to keep it all very nice. These are somewhat positional, so I'm going to install them a certain way so that the Reve-D logo is straight up and down. And this is simple. So we take 4 of these 15 mils. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, I should say. When we have 4 of these guys, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the 4th one. And this is just simply put the screw through the barrel, this barrel piece, and screw it into here. And they're all individual, so just hammer them in one at a time, tighten them all the way. Whoa, that got away from me. Traditional. The other part of your life is, if you don't have an electric screwdriver, besides opening the bags, is endlessly screwing the screws in with a manual driver, which would take a while. It would probably double the build time. So when I say 2.5 hours, like I did at the beginning of the video, that is because I'm using an electric screwdriver. Very good. So that's that part. Straightforward. And then the next part's even easier, which is kind of satisfactory. We clip on oh, they're double-sided. Never mind. They're not one way. They're double-sided, so you can put them on anyway. We then clip on these battery, see, clips right on, and there's the battery holder. Nice, right? So I kind of like that, and you can make them the same way. So the clips are the same way here. Flip, flip, right? Flip, flip, clip, clip. There we go. And there's the battery holder. So that's that installed. Very nicely done, right? Okay, so from there we move to the top of page 13, and that is installing the spur gear. Oh, we do need that nut. Yeah, okay, good thing I didn't put that off to the side. And we need the pin, because that pin is for the spur gear. That stuff is extra. This is definitely extra. I know that. Put that up there. Okay, so then the pin, the spur gear, take the pin, spin your shaft here. So you see the hole there, the hole for this pin. That pin goes in the hole. Try not to hit your diff as you do this with your finger. The pin should be mostly kind of straight. Get it as straight as you can. And if not, the spur gear should guide it in, but it'll go in one of those 2 sort of slots there. And whoa, whoa, whoa. And when you line it up, just slide that on, see, and it goes right in. And it should go flush. Okay. After that, you take your hex and the wheel nut adapter and the nut here. Thread that on, get to the nylon part, twist it on. This is where I don't have one of these for my my DeWalt. I lost it. And there we go. So once that's on, just do it snug. You can spin the transmission. Look at that, nice and easy. And you'll notice a teeny bit of play there. That's normal. See that? That's normal. So there we go. That's the spur gear installed. And then after we get the transmission installed onto the chassis, which we're about to do, then we do all these side brace pieces. And now we will dig out 8 of these countersunk screws. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. And we're going to need 8 of the button head screws. Wait, is it 8 of them? Hold on. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Sorry, 10 of these guys and 8 of these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Very good. Now we will have some leftover screws and spacers and stuff because they were for the other parts of the car or other parts of the battery holder, which we will not install. So let's put the transmission on because that's what's next. So here, this is very simple. Make sure your arms are moved out of the way. Line your transmission up. That's the only place it'll go. And start putting screws in. I like to pre-thread all these before tightening them. So just grab your chassis, hold your transmission in place. I usually start with the transmission side first. It's the easiest to kind of get threaded and going. Mostly straightforward. There we go. Oh. Like I said, didn't get that one in all the way. Okay, so let's try that again. So find the hole. Okay, that one went in. So now we can lie this on its side a little bit here and can illustrate the screws going in. 2, 3, 4. And this is where I said you gotta watch that one brace to make sure it's straight, and this one's just a little off. There we go. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I can start going backwards and tightening them all. Awesome. Very good. If your battery mount's a bit tight or whatever, just loosen or move some of these screws as they might have moved. See, look, it's not exactly straight. There we go. Screws do that for those parts. But there it is. There's the transmission and battery tray all installed with all those screws. Now, after we've done that, we can do the chassis bracings. This stuff's all out of the place. So the chassis braces, they are the same size, all 4 of them. So we can just place them. They basically go like one goes there, one goes here, and so forth. Same on the other side. So I like to do them one by one, basically, because it's 2 screws per. And we just do it like this. So let's see, here's one. Trying to get this as center as I can in the camera. So there's one. I'll come up with a better building camera setup in the future, but for now this will work. There's one to the front side. Oh, that went crooked. There we go. And the second part. And for the back side, goes here. Tighten them up. Very good. Car's really coming together now. There's only a handful of bags, I'd say, like 4 more bags maybe, and the only other long part of a car build, which is shocks. Shocks take anywhere from half an hour to an hour. So now that we've done that, we are now complete the Shorty LiPo horizontal battery mount installation and transmission and rear suspension. So we have what looks like, I would say, well over 40% of a car now. Okay, so I don't know if you've gotten this far. We're getting close to the 2-hour mark of the build. You can see it on my cameras. So from here, this is where we skip many pages until we get to page 21. Because page 20 is completing a different type of battery mounting, battery holding installation. Step 8 is assembling the rear suspension, which is the top side of the rear suspension. We did the bottom side already, but this is the top side. So that's what we're going to move on to next. And I think once we get to the shocks, then we will, you know what? Actually, I'll stop it here and then start the cameras here. So get ready for a transition. Okay, so here we go now. We are going to do assembly of the rear suspension, step 8, page 21. So we got to get bag number 8 out, and we're going to need stuff from bag number 1. So bag 8 is here. Bag 1, we need some of these spacers. It says we're going to need 2 of them, so we might as well cut 2 of those off right now. And then we're going to need 2 of the turnbuckles, the last 2 from the turnbuckle tree, these guys. So let's remove these now and trim them. Very good. 1, 2. Okay. Oops. All right, that's trimmed. We need those. Oh yeah, these parts we can now move. All these extra screws we will not need. These are from the previous step, so let's move these all out of the way. Extra screws. And these spacers we do not need as well. We can move those out of the way. Okay, so we got those 2, we got those. Let's open bag 8. Let's see all what's in here. Look at all the goodness of bag 8. Wonderful. Okay, so we got the shock tower, which is main part of this assembly. And the rear ESC mount there. We got some black grease, anti-wear grease, essentially. Got our drive shafts, which are pre-assembled, which is very nice. Some manufacturers actually make you assemble the drive shaft, which is both good and bad, because most people that assemble the drive shafts, they miss something or they don't put the Loctite in for the screw, and then it all comes apart half the time. But I wouldn't blame the user too much, because sometimes the instructions aren't clear. But there's our drive shafts, Reve-D 47mm drive shaft. Focus. There, kind of focus. Yeah, I'm forcing it. There we go. 47mm. Okay. Shock tower thing, anti-wear grease. Here's our knuckles for the rear. Okay. And very important, these ring pieces, very important. Don't lose them. They go between the 2 bearings in between these knuckles. So let's pop those off, and I'll pop these guys off and put them here. Very important rings. We're gonna trim that flash off there. Just trim that off so that these go in very nicely. If they don't fit in nicely, it's probably because there's a little plastic flash or burr on it there. So that is what I'm trimming off. Okay. That and that. And get the brake discs out here. Well, I didn't cut that open well enough. Perfect. Okay. Now the brake discs, we can break those off. And definitely when you first install the wheel nuts for these, do it gently. You don't want to break them right away, because I've seen people do that where they literally broke the brake disc the first time they put wheels on the car. It just tightened too much and it shattered it. So that's not good. We don't want to deal with that. So, okay, we've cleaned those off. And we'll get these parts out. Oops. I said this is the longest part of your life. Some of it. And there's a bunch of plastic flash on these. I'll trim this off. 1, 2. Oh, it didn't go as well as I wanted. 2. Come on. 3. 4. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And there are different sizes, and they do say FFRR. So this is front, the F, and the rear, the R. So there's that, and then we got some screws and some bearings and some axles and some nuts. Okay, so those are things we'll need for the rear knuckles. Screws and small screws for the pins. Oh, there's a screw in a second. 4th screw, and all these ball studs are the same. Okay. These are for the rear axle. Rear axle bearings. Staples. Get out of here. Excuse me. Okay. And more screws. Yeah, then we'll put them over here for choice of spacing by me. Okay. Alrighty. Okay, we are ready to go here. Parts all out and about. So, what are we doing? We are doing this part, assembling the rear suspension, turnbuckles, and ball studs and things like that, and the fixed link turnbuckles, and then installing it onto the rear transmission case there. This part here is an optional part. This is part of, this is actually from the MC1. See, M1-016C, MC1 graphite rear body post mount plate thing. Yeah, if you want to install that on, you totally can, but you don't have to. But that's for, that was designed for magnet mounts really, but half of us used it for putting switches and other things on. So that's what we're doing here on page 21. So let's get started. Okay. A screwdriver, and so let's do the spacers and the ball studs first. Ball stud. Whoa, sorry. Let's move that down a bit. So ball stud, spacer. Okay, and then they want us to put it in this bottom hole right there. Okay. 1 and 2. Oh, there we go. Okay, those are the locations they want those ball studs. Very good. And then there's 2 more ball studs that go into the shock tower sides of it. So that's here. And over here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So with those ball studs in, we can now do the fixed link turnbuckles and make sure the writing is right side up. And I'm going to use my pliers because my fingers are not cooperating. Oops. There we go. There's 1. 1 and the second one. Come on, you. There we go. And the second one. So we can get that guy on. Oops. Oh, come on, you. There we go. That's on like so. Okay, very good. And then we take that and bolt it straight to the back of the car. We'll move the drive shafts out of the way here. So we have the back of the car. There it is. And this will go on right here, like so. And then we take these 10 mil screws here, 10 mil button heads, and install the screws like so. 2, 3, and the 4th one. Very good. Okay, so that's the shock tower installed now. Moving on to page 22. I'll do 22 and 23 here. We're going to discuss it. So, page 22, ESC mount, super straightforward, just slots in. And then we begin the rear knuckles, rear uprights, whatever you want to call them. The drive shafts are already pre-done, but that's how they install if you want to put them on. See, they say to put grease in there. They have already done that, I think. I'll double check it, but we can put it if we want. So we're going to do those knuckles, and then page 23 is completing the rear knuckle with the brake disc hub and installing the caliper, and then putting them on the car. So that's what we're going to do next. And then those will actually go onto the car. Okay, so let's start by installing the rear ESC mount here. Okay, let me fix the camera again. There we go. Oh, come on, you. Okay, rear ESC mount, literally that's it. It just slots right on. Okay, and we'll put that out of the way because now we got to build the rear knuckles. So we'll do the left side first. Here's the left side. This is the left knuckle, okay? And drive shaft's already installed, but first we need to put a ball stud on. We'll do the right side or left side and the right side together. So that's the right side. Here's the left side. And they want a ball stud right. Yeah, so they want the ball stud to go here. Or no, wait. Yeah, here, this one. So they want the ball stud there. So we're going to do that on both of these. Just holding that in place. There we go. So that's where they want the location for that. Yep. So we're going to put the other one in. Same spot. Okay, so that's what they should look like. Very good. All right, so now the left side, we can install the bearings, and you'll see the knuckle also says L left on it, left and right for that. So first, put the bearings in the back side of the knuckles. Let's do both of them at the same time. And then in the front sides of them, we put these little spacers, okay? Little spacer goes in, and then this bearing. If you miss this, the bearing will move back and forth, and you'll grind your brake discs and probably break your drive shaft too. Oh, look, see, that's what will happen. If you put it in ahead of time, see, it'll fall all the way in. It'll fall further in, I should say, and we don't want that. So we need to put this guy in, and then it fits. Then it's flush. Okay, very good. Okay, so then it's just our drive shaft, right? And that just slots in like so. Easy peas. Now I'm going to do this one at a time now because it gets a bit tricky to do at the same time. So that's in. And moving to the top side of page 23, wheel pin hub and the brake disc. So for the left side knuckle here, rear knuckle, we're going to need a pin, and we're going to need a brake disc that says RA specifically, because they have designated RA and RB and the certains on the front, certain nomenclature there, so that you know which side goes on where. So we need a pin. There's a pin. Okay, pin. And we're going to take brake disc RA and install it onto the left knuckle, like so. And it fits on. You may have to give it a bit of a press. Well, yeah, mine didn't go on straight. Give me a second here. Okay, let's try that again. Mine didn't go on as straight as I wanted. There we go. When you get it on straight, it'll be as flush as it can with the knuckle there. And it should sort of snap in a bit, and it will hold the drive shaft in place, which is very nice, because then when you go to actually install the caliper, life gets easier, I should say. And the brake disc you'll want is one of the ones that are marked R for rear, because they are smaller. Same with the rear brake disc is smaller than the front. See, there's the front. Notice it's bigger, right? Because you can't see it. So that's that. Now, easiest way to do this with the brake caliper, definitely pre-thread the screws on. So place the caliper on, get the screw to the hole, pre-thread it, but don't tighten it until you get the second one in. And you can use your hands to line up the brake caliper on the disc. So I'm going to do that manually here. Line it up straight as you can. I'm going to slow roll that in. And snug one up a bit, and then snug the other. Oh, that one I went tight. Right, and make sure the first one is snug down, and just make sure your brake caliper is as straight as you can get it, and your disc will be free. Okay, there we go. So that spins freely, and just make sure it doesn't rub. And so let's see. Oh, and then take one of the wheel nuts and pre-thread it on. What I like to do though is not bottom it out. So just like, see how it's on there? Just thread it a little bit more, like just about like that much. Just for placeholding, just a bit of the nylon. Use your wheel later to put this all on and thread it properly. This is just placeholding. So that is now installed on the rear, that is complete rear knuckle assembly for the one side. So now I'm going to go ahead and complete the other side. We'll do it on the fly here. So we got our bearings already installed, drive shaft installed. We have the pin. We will use disc RB this time. And get disc RB in there. Installed, flush, very good. Get our screws going. Other rear brake caliper. Thread it on. Get it kind of close and then get some fitment. Line it up. A little more straighter there. Come on. There we go. Very good. Okay. So that is now installed, and we can just take our wheel nut here and put it on temporarily. Good enough. Okay. So those are the two rear uprights installed there, as you can see. And they are prepared and ready to go. It even says in the manual, temporary fixing. You don't have to fire it all the way on as they show it in the manual. So then we come to the bottom part of page 23, which is installing the uprights into the back of the car. And so here's the back of the car. Take our left one. Excuse me. Here's our left brake disc, or the one that says L. You can no longer see it under there, but this is the L. You'll know by the RA brake disc, okay? RA is the left side. So slot it into the lower arm, like so. It fits right in the middle. You take one of these pins, okay, one of these little pins, and you slide it through the entire upright, or the knuckle, sorry. And then see how it pivots there? Now we got to take two of these little screws and screw them onto the ends here. Now, what I have done is prepared my tools so that I could do this, and I've promptly left that one screw bit off to the side. So let me go run and get that, and you can continue to look at the installation there while I fish and look quickly for my screwdriver that I need, the bit that I need, which I'm not finding. You can hear me fishing around. Yeah, it's totally not here, so I'm going to use another screwdriver. Okay, coming back. Sorry about that. This is a first time build video for a car. You know what I'm going to do. learn and get prepared better. So anyways, here, got my trusty little screwdriver. This is a PH1. Okay, PH1 fits, oh, this isn't magnetized, but PH1, see it fits right in there, PH1. And you're gonna take these little screws and put them right here. One goes here. I had the bit for my electric screwdriver, but it went somewhere else, so we're just gonna hand bomb these in. Put it on your screwdriver, and this one goes on this side. Okay, so you can see that there. Both of them, one on that side, one on that side, okay? I'm gonna do it for this side of it now. Same thing on this side. Slot it through. Whoa, whoa, hey. Same thing, slot it through. Okay, and then the screws. Maybe I'll have more of my other toolkit over off to the side closer so I don't have to run off camera. Okay, whoops. This one will go here. Okay, those are installed. So then we slot our drive shafts into the diff housing here. You can see it. And then connect our ball stud to our turnbuckle. And this one I'm just going to clip straight up. Yeah. Same thing on the other side. And clip this guy in with the pliers. Excellent. And there we have the entire rear suspension complete, minus the shocks. There it is. Very nice, right? Okay, so you can see it on the big cam there as well. We have rear suspension. Now we have to finish the front end of the car. Let's go. Okay, so 24, page 24, I should say. Page 24 is the front end. And if we move the camera, close-up cam. So page 24, lower front arms, they get installed onto the car. Upper front arms, they get installed on the car. So let's do that, page 24 and 25. We're moving on to bag number 9. After bag 9 is the shocks, and then after that is body post. So we're getting there. We're over 3/4 of the way done now, I'd say. So bag 9, let's get all this stuff out here. Those are the plastic bits that will get E-clipped into place. And here's some ball studs and things. That's random staples. Okay, the ball studs. Front axle and steering stopper, and front axle pins. These are the upper pins and lower hinge pins. Okay. More of these guys. Okay, so yeah, so we have some extras already because there's some things we didn't do, so we will have a bunch of extras of those 1mm spacers. Now, we're going to need 4 of those right off the hop, so instead of starting a new tree, let's just take them off an existing tree. And we're going to have to cut the flash off it, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Okay, those are cut. 1, 2, 3, 4. Put them in there. Break the knuckles off the tree. All right. That all here. All right, that's garbage. Bearings. Bearings. Some more screws and the pinion gear, which we will not need right now because we don't have a motor, but we'll prepare it anyway. And wheel nut and some last screws here. So let me move these guys in here. Come on, come on, there we go. Okay, sorting, those are the screws, those are axles, threaded rods, screws, and nuts. Okay. Ball studs, screws, and things. Okay, so now we've got all those parts out. Here's ball cups. We're going to need these too. Cut these open. We're going to need those, that is for sure. Okay. Upper arms, break those off. Lower arms, break those off. Okay, so let's start. Top of page 24. And we will need to do ball stud and spacer. Well, that spacer's flash didn't come off. I thought I got that off. There we go. So, ball stud and spacer. Let's do that first. Ball stud and spacer. 1, 2. Ball stud spacer. Ball stud. Okay. And I have noticed there are 2 ball studs here that are short neck. See the difference? There's a long neck and there's a short neck. Okay. So there's 2 that are short neck. Make sure you pay attention. These ones in the lower arms are the long neck. So that's what we will put in here. And a spacer. Excellent. That's that part done. Then we need to install threaded rod, which requires a 1.5 mil. So I'll change my bit. 1.5 mil threaded rod. The big long one. Definitely, if you have an electric screwdriver for this, this is very, very good. So this, I just thread it in until it bottoms out. About there. You'll feel it bottom out. The screwdriver itself makes more noise, but really only need to thread it till it bottoms out. About there. Okay. And then we will add a spacer and a ball cap, the medium ball cap, which is these ones here. These are the mediums, those are the small, and that's the long. And I have a trusty ball cup screw tool from 3 Racing, which is very handy. Just use my tool here, and we place a spacer on the bottom side and screw this on. And this, we got to do this manually. But there is a detachment or tool I know that is for this to put into electric drills. I'm going to get one, and then just make sure when you thread this down that you've got the ball cap situated as so. These ball caps have a skinnier and more opener side. Make sure the open side is facing up in this case. And that way the ball stud will go in there easier. All right, so get this in here. Another way, there we go. Yeah, that way. Okay, so that's open. Now those are the lower front arms, the top part of the assembly. And then I'm gonna move that a little over because the middle part, we gotta do the bottom pin area, these 2 guys here, but it requires E-clipping. This is similar to doing the shocks. And these parts do get a little bit annoying, these E-clips, but simplest way to do E-clip is take your E-clip, take the shaft, do the bottom one first. So bottom one, just like a shock shaft. Bottom one, I place it down on a hard surface or this the mat here, and just make sure it's straight as possible. You can even hold it with your finger a bit and just press downwards. And you hear that click? There we go. See, it went right in. Click, click. So do that for the other one. You can use pliers if you want here, but I wouldn't recommend it. You might scratch the shaft. This shaft isn't as important for scratching as the shock shafts are, but if you learn to do it this way, life will be straightforward and you won't scratch your shock shaft. So same thing, line it up straight and just push down easily. Clip, clip. Nice and in there. Yeah. focusing. All right, so then we put these plastic end pieces on. They just slot over, but we need to put another E-clip. So for this, place the E-clip in and on the ridge. See how it's just in the ridge there? And then take your pliers. I like to take small ones. Take your pliers and just clip it on. See, that went pretty easily. That went pretty good. There it is. Same thing on this side. Thing and E-clip. Clip it on. And, oh, there we go. And just make sure it seats fully. There we go. Fully seated. Well done. That's those pieces. Now, we can move on to the bottom part, which involves another set of spacers, those plastic spacers. So we're going to cut these last two off because we need them. Pretty sure we'll get into the other 3 of them there in a bit. Now this part, we have to do this carefully. Excuse me. So what we got to do is we have to take the lower suspension arm, situate it like so. This is the underside of the car. But when we put this in, see how there's some gapping there? We have to put in a spacer. So best way is place the shaft into the lower arm, place it into the mount, and then right before you get the mount protruding through, see how it's protruding through there? Just pull it back a bit, just enough, so that we can slot in our spacer right in between here. And when you move that in, just very carefully push it in, line it up. Should be able to line it up just in the right spot so we can push the hinge pin, there we go, see, all the way through. Once you have that all in and the spacer on the back side of the front, we then take one of these smaller threaded rod, grub screw if you want to call it, and that goes here. And that is what it actually holds, just like that. That's what holds the suspension arm in place. Just make sure it's snug, don't strip it. And that's snug. And that's what holds that all in place. Just make sure it's floppy. And that one is. So now we can do the other one. Same thing. All right. You can see that there. See that pin going through. We want to pull it back a bit. Just make it so it's flush with the mount. Get our set screw or spacer in there. Line it up as straight as possible. And fish. There we go. Wiggle the pin and eventually it'll go in. Very good. And then set screw. There we go. You hear it changed motor there. And just make sure it's loose. There we go. Wiggle it if you have to. Those are loose. Okay. That's the bottom of page 24. Now, page 25 is the upper arm. Very straightforward here. Take the upper arms. And we take our medium ball cup. These guys. And the long threaded rod again, and we need 2 of these spacers, so we got to cut them up. Cut them off, I should say. 1, 2, okay. Oops, whacked the camera. Okay, threaded rod. And threaded rod it into the upper arm, and just wait till it bottoms out. That's it. Same thing. Until it bottoms out. And then put our spacer. There's our other one. And thread our ball cup on. I'll use our ball cup screw tool here from 3 Racing. And once we complete these will go straight up onto the car. Now, they are kind of the same they are the same looking anyway, so you want, that's the orientation, okay? And we want the ball cup to be proper, so that's proper now. There we go. So that will be the right side of the car, and this one will be for the left, but They kind of will work either or. They are directional, but they will fit on either side. You just got to flip them. Okay, so there's this part. And orientate the ball cup. There we go, so that the fatter side is on, the more open side's on the bottom. There we go, so left and right, okay. And these screw in the same way, and we need another 2 of these spacers for the upper arms. 1 and 2. Okay, so let's do that now. Same thing we did for the bottom, we will do for the top, but we have to put a spacer in the front side. So put the pin in the back side, push it through the front, and then same thing. When we get close to there, just make sure the pin is not fully through. Put our shim in there, slide the pin through as we drop the shim in, and there we go. And there we go. Yeah, that's in. That's one. Let's do the other side, and then we'll put the screws in together. The grub screws. Get that flush. Put our spacer. Move the pin. Flush it in. And wiggle. Oh, wiggle. There we go. And push it through. There we go. Got it. Okay. Now we can put these grub screws in. And same thing, don't over tighten them. Don't strip them, I should say. You can tell right when you get to the tightening part of it anyway. Okay, and then make sure they move freely, which they do. Very good. Now that is the end of page 25. We have most of it done. We just got to do the front knuckles now for the most part. So, page 26. Yep, this is the front knuckle assembly here. Front knuckles here, left and right, and then the brake discs down there, bottom of page 26. Very similar to the rear. And then page 27, we would install them onto the car at the top there. And then the motor installation / fan mount installation, but we don't have a motor, so we'll just prepare the pinion and install the fan mount. And then after that is shocks. So we're getting very close. I'd say we're like 75, 80%, or at least 80% now. Bag 9 still, because we have our front knuckles there. And we're gonna need 2 more of these spacers. So let's, where's our spacer tree thingy? Here it is, it's over here. We'll cut 2 more of these off. 1, 2, very good. Okay, so here's our knuckles. And it's showing, on the manual it shows the left side. So we'll do the left side and then I'll fire the right side together and then show you what it looks like. Let's cut some of that flag off. Okay, so yes, so we're gonna need the bearings. So here's some bearings. Let's angle that back down. Need some bearings and they press right in. So press into the knuckle, pop, pop. There's no extra spacers like in the rear. So just flush, flush. Okay, flush, flush. Then take your axle, slide it through. Actually, no, don't do this yet first. Let's do the ball studs. You could do it that way, but let's do ball studs. It'll make more sense. Okay. Now we have to pay attention because on the knuckle here is where we use these short neck ones. So let's do the short necks first, actually. The short necks use a spacer, and they are for the actual steering link. So short neck and a spacer, okay, short neck spacer. And this go in the end of the knuckle, so right here. Since I got the other knuckle right there, I'm gonna do the second short neck ball stud and put it in its proper place. Right there, just so it's done. And we'll do that after. And then regular ball studs in the top and bottom. So one here, one goes, whoa, whoa, whoa. One goes there, one goes here, Okay. And then the actual stopper, this guy. That goes on the top side here. This is where the RDX differs from most cars because the steering link connects on the underside of the knuckle and the stopper is on the top side. So after you get to this portion, then you can install the axle and the axle here, bonk, and then make sure the hole goes all the way through. Put the pin in, okay, and you got the pin. And then you take for the left side, we want FA. So FA, FA. Make sure your pin doesn't fall out on you. And slot disc FA over the left knuckle. Oh, that didn't go in as, see, look, my pin fell out a bit there. You can just, if this happens, just push it a bit. Bang, there we go. And it should be flush. That's as flush as it's going to be. Okay. Very good. All right, now we can do the brake disc just like before. We take an F brake disc and 2 of these 6mm screws there. And like I said before, install one gently. Don't have to snug it right away, but just get it on. And then second screw, put it on, go slowly. Try to get it as even as possible. Oops. Yeah, that looks pretty good. There we go. That's pretty straight. So there we go. It shouldn't rub. Nope. Okay, so that's one. That is the left side. So let's put that on the left side of the car, just kind of floating over there. Now let's finish off the right side. So let's put these ball studs in. Well, this is here. 1, 2. And then the stopper goes here. Ball bearings, press in. 1, 2. And the axle slides through. Get your pin. Get your pin, and then FB for this side. Bang, right in, and then we'll do the caliper. Yep. Don't have to get it all the way in, but most of the way. We'll tighten that one up a little too quickly. Get this lined up. There we go. Tighten those now. There we go. And the right side is complete. Very good. Oops. And then the last parts is the wheel nuts, which I didn't put on the left side. So there's one wheel nut. And put the other wheel nut on the right or the left side. Very good. And just kind of snug it up. Excellent. Okay. And then the next part is to install it on the car, top of page 27. So here's the front of the car. And sometimes these ones are more cooperative where I can press them into the bottom. Oh yeah, just have more leverage with these. Oops. Yeah, and then of course the top sides usually don't cooperate for me. Oh, they're cooperating. Hell yeah. Hell yes. Oh, yes. And then the axles, or steering link, not axles. Steering link onto the knuckle. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Knock the camera. Sorry about that. I'm going to use pliers here. Oh, jeebus. There we go. If you got strong hands, then yeah, you could still do this, but I don't have any more dexterity. There we go. Okay, so now that we've done that, we have knuckles installed. Make sure everything moves freely. There we go. Excellent. Look at the steering angle on that. So there's the factory steering angles right there. And this goes pretty much up to the, there it is, going up to the stopper. Very nice. Lots of, a little bit of Ackerman at the full lock. So that's our car, mostly assembled here. I'd say we're a little over 80% now. And the next pieces are the motor and motor mount, fan mount, that will go on. Now the next pieces here that I'm going to put aside that we'll need later, but we can't put on now, will be these two screws and these two spacers, because these are for the motor. So these will be set aside for the owner of the car when we put his electronics in tomorrow, I think. So those we'll put off to the side. We will need those later. They're not spare parts, but I just can't install them now because we don't have a motor. And the pinion and the set screw, I will do that now. Definitely Loctite this guy here. I'm not going to do it now because this isn't going on, but I will be putting Loctite on the set screw here, the grub screw, for the pinion. And it just goes in like so. And then when you Loctite it onto the motor shaft, it won't go anywhere. So we'll put that over off to the side because we won't need it. And then the only other thing to do right now is this fan mount. It's one simple screw. They offer 2 holes for it, and they want you to put it in the front hole, but there is a second hole too. So this is straightforward. It goes right here. Okay, fan mount goes there. And, yep. Oh, sorry. And screw it in. And you can angle the fan mount any way you want. I usually just angle it like that so it blows straight down on the motor. And that's a simple installation, and that's nice that they included that. I really like that. It fits a 30 mil fan, those holes, just so FYI. Just so you know. So that is the end of page 27. And with the end of page 27, we move on to the shocks. Wonderful, lots of stuff there. Page 29 is installing the shocks and then doing bag 11. So we're pretty much almost right at 85%, I'd say. Shout out if you've watched all the way through to this point, if you're actually building it through with me alongside. Hopefully this all helps. So if I put this in the close-up cam, give you a better illustration. Here's where we build the shocks using E-clips and all the other parts. We'll get that all out in a second. How to bleed it and all that stuff. And I'm going to give you all my shock tips on how to do this and stuff. And we will use green slime on the O-rings, which is right there, to seal it up. And I have the stuff right here. So we're going to be putting that on. And then page 29 is installing the shocks there, which pretty much just clip on. And then installing the front bumper and body posts, which then page 30 is moving on to the final rear body post, rear diffuser. And then it's just wheels, which we don't have. And then that would be complete. So we'll do one more review of the manual once we go through to the last page. But now it's time to do shocks. So, bag 10. Bag 10. We've gotten this far now. Bag 10. Okay. And now I'm going to get all this stuff out. They provide us shock oil, which is awesome. Like we said, it's number 50 oil. It looks like a little bit has come out. Traditional. I'll just wipe that with my trusty little paper towel here. Yeah, some of that definitely came out. Okay. Let's continue. So we're going to break all kinds of parts off here, off of these plastic trees. Some of it has already come off. Those, the bottom caps are coming off. And like I was saying in the beginning of the video and in my unbox video, the Reve-D plastic shocks here for the RDX are the best plastic shocks on the market, bar none. I've not come across another pair of shocks that I would say come close. The only ones that kind of come close are the Yokomos. The MSTs are not that good, to be honest. They're all right. And then any other brand of plastic shock just do not cut the mustard, really, for the most part. So these are bulk caps. Most of this stuff comes off the plastic trees pretty nice. We don't have too much extra flash on most of these parts. We can get away with it. Okay, these are the diaphragm and O-ring. I'm going to pop them all out over here just so they're all out and about. 1, 2, 3. 4. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to make sure they're all there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Get rid of that. The shock shafts themselves. And the E-clips come in there. Usually they give you 1 or 2 spare E-clips, which is nice. They've wrapped these ones in a little piece of paper there. See how it's all together. I have some spares in case I lose them, but we're going to do, we should be all right. Here's the springs. They're different front to rear, but they are progressive style, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, in the unbox video. Garbage bags there. So these are the front springs. These ones will go on the front. They're not as long as the rear. The rears are a little longer, and they want the progressive tier on the rears to the upper side. So that's that. So we're going to put those there and those there. Couple more parts to cut out here. Shocks have lots of parts in them. 4-hole piston, though, I like that. So they work very well, the piston. And when you take the pistons off of this tree here, you're going to want to trim off the flash for sure, or your shocks will bind or won't operate at all. So you definitely want to do that. Yeah, there's some of these guys too. The parts don't come off as good. Same with these little guys. Yeah, we're going to have to trim all this. Ideally, you'll want to trim all these little these parts, not so much these ones, but the other parts. That one didn't come off well. Okay, so we'll do a little trimming here. We'll just do a little trimming. And then these ones, which definitely we need to trim, because these go in the bottom part of the shock, and the cap won't go over it if those piece of plastic flash is all over it. There we go. Trim, trim. Whoa. Trim. And what I mean is, yeah, these little plastic burrs, see that burr from the tree there? Come on, focus, focus, focus. Yeah, you can see, ugh. You can see that extra burr piece there. That's what I'm trimming off. If we don't trim it off, it won't fit flush. Okay, so that's trimmed, trimmed. Do the pistons. Oh, do this side, it's easier there. Trim. 1, 2, 3, and 4. There we go. Yeah, just make sure you trim those things or your pistons will not move freely through the body. Okay, body of the shock. Okay, well, now that we've done all that and we have all our parts prepared, let's move some of these guys over so they're in the tray area. Now we can start to do our shock shafts, and I'm just going to quickly run off camera here and grab my shock holder, this thing, my little 3D printed shock holder, and that'll make our life easier when we go to put the shocks together. Let's move some of that stuff out of the way, move some of this stuff up, and I can get that in camera. Perfect, okay. All right, now we can get going here. And move some of these things over out of the way. Very first thing we want to do is the pistons and the shock shafts. Partly, this part gets a little annoying. So just extract a single E-clip at a time here off the paper bunch. Now with the shock shafts, like I was saying, with those other lower arm pins, whatever, do the lower ridge first. Okay, same idea. Put the shock shaft down. Make sure the E-clip is as even as possible. You can hold it in place with your fingers, and then just push down. And push down. There we go. Hear it click, 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 click. And that one's in. There we go. Definitely try not to use pliers on these guys because you do not want to gouge the shock shaft anywhere. If you do, it'll hurt the performance, and or the damage on the shock shaft will damage your O-rings. You don't want that. 1, 2, there we go. You can hear it click, click. First click is it seating mostly, and then the second click is it fully seating. Sometimes you just get one solid click, and that is it going straight in. But sometimes it goes patwang and shoots off, and you can't find it. But generally, they cooperate pretty good if you just press straight down, and you don't have to push a lot. Just, there we go, click, and that one went right in. See, single click. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and we got our fourth one going here. There we go, fourth one. Fourth one. And click, there we go. Now the trickier part is doing the top side E-clips, but we use a small pair of pliers for that. Take your shock piston, and I like to put them, orientate them with the lines around the holes down. So the instructions illustrate them doing the pistons like this anyway. So then we take another E-clip off of the E-clip tree. Whoa, come on. Yeah, there we go. Place it on top of the piston and line it up in the ridge. It'll kind of just sit there, but not really. See, it's just sitting there. Take our pliers and gently on the top of the shaft and the top of the E-clip, gently push, click, and there it goes. That's how that should go. You shouldn't have to press super hard. It should just click in. And there we go. We have one done. So let me fire the rest together here. Wow, that fell off. Okay, so thing and click. Next. As we move along here on the shocks, I did this sort of out of rotation. Oh, there's a bunch of flash there. I'm going to cut that off. Hold on. Found a little more junk on this piston here, so let me just, yeah, look, see there's a bit of burring there. See that junk there? I'm going to trim that off. It's not much, but it's enough that it might cause some binding. So, and this other one looks like it's got it too. There we go. Okay, much better. So, back to the piston. Okay, that's number 3. And number 4. They have given us at least 3 or 4 extras here, which is very nice. Give us quite a lot of extra for the E-clips. Okay, this is the only part of the shocks that use E-clips, by the way. There we go. So those are all installed. Very nice. Now we can put the E-clips aside because we don't need them. The next part is installing, the way I like to do this. The instruction shows it a little different, but I like to do this because I use the shock stand to do shocks all at once kind of thing. I will take the preload collar, okay, and thread the preload collar onto the shock body. It should go on very easily, just like that. If you feel resistance, you might be cross-threading it, but it should go on pretty straightforward. And then we just get it all the way up here. If we were doing aluminum shocks, we'd have to put an O-ring inside of this area here, and that would help the preload collar from moving, but plastic, it doesn't move as much. And then I like to do that, just sit them in the shock assembly holder device. And because it'll make our life a little easier as we progress and do 4 shocks at a time here. I was considering just building 1 shock for this video, like just doing 1 and then showing, oh look, the other 3 are complete. But no, I'm going to show you doing them all 4 at once in an assembly line, sort of. So, crank your 4 preload collars onto the 4 bodies of the shocks. There's the 3rd one. Preload you're going to set later anyway, so I just put them all the way to the top for now. You're going to set the preload. They don't tell you how much to put, of course. They just show you installing it, the collar onto the shock. They don't actually show you how much. They just say make sure that the ride height is or 5 millimeter with the body attached, the vehicle height, yeah, ride height. So anyways, there we are. They're all in there. Now once you have the bodies done, you can take your pistons, okay, and drop them in. 1, 2. Oh, come on, you. 2, 3, 4. And if they don't slide in easily, you'll know right away because of the flash burr. Those are nice and free. Very good. And they're just sitting in there now. So that's fine. They can sit in there. And then this part is where we're going to get a bit greasy because we're going to break out the green slime. because we are going to slime up the O-rings and install them on the bottom. My camera just turned off. What the heck? Give me a second here. The camera done. The camera just totally. This camera just didn't cooperate. Give me a second. Why did it do that? Oops, oops, whoops. Ah, I filled the camera. Oh, ding dang. Okay, we're back. One of the cameras let go, so I changed camera and we're back. So we were in the middle of page 28, bag 10 shocks. So you'll be transitioned towards this section of the video. Apologies for that. So we will continue on. I was saying it's time to use the green slime to put on the O-rings to do the bottom side of the shock. So let's continue with that. Back to the close-up cam. Now I'm going to get some paper towel. Prepare that because this is going to get slimy. Just so I can wipe my hands on and stuff. So we have the O-rings. This time is where we take our O-rings and slime them up. Now we don't need a lot of slime here. We just got to take a little dab here, something like that. There, and get it on your fingers because it's going to get greasy. And just take it in between your index and thumb, and I just like to rub it together, just like this. And this absorbing the green slime into the O-ring helps seal it 3 ways: against the shock shaft, against the shock body, and oil absorbing into the O-ring. So there, you see how it's all shiny now? You don't need a lot. If you want, you can put a little bit more, but basically that's all we need. We don't need much more. See, my fingers are getting greasy there. So there, see, that's all slimed up there, nice. So here's we take it and put it into the bottom of our shock. So hold your shock shaft. The green slime will act as a lubricant as you pass it over the threads. Just pass it over gently. There we go. And then, oh, I got to turn the flashlight on for here. I forgot. There we go. Flashlight. And then we just slide our O-ring up into the shock body. And there it is. Okay, so it'll just sit in there nicely. Oops, it'll just sit in there nice. Come on, stop it. There. That'll sit in there nicely until we do the rest of these. So since I got some slime on my fingers, excessive slime, I can just slime the next O-ring. If you don't think you have enough, just scoop a little more. All right, there we go. Slime your fingers nice. Very good. Get rid of the excess if it bugs you. Okay. Take the second one, slide it on. And if you're worried about any excess green slime, you can always wipe it off of the O-ring or wipe it off of the shock shaft. There's the second one in there. Okay. See the extra slime we got there? It's all in there. We can just wipe that off. No big deal. See? Easy peasy. Some people are worried about the little bits of green slime that get up into your oil. It isn't so bad. Like, okay, yes, that happens, but it's only if you really goober on the green slime here and you just like put way too much. But you just want enough that you rub it in to the O-ring, and it'll start absorbing it, and so it's nicely coated. And then fire it up into your shock, like so. This is the third one. Get it up in there. Okay, it'll sit in there, and then wipe off the excess if you want. Fourth and last one. There we go. I got enough slime on my fingers. I can just literally rub them together there. But I am going to put a little bit more just for, oh, I got it all over that too. Just a little bit more. There we go. And rub it in there. Rub it in good. And then take your last one. Pop it in there. Hold the shaft against the body. Wiggle the O-ring up. Wiggle it into place. And away you go. Wipe off the excess. Okay, so at this point now, we're done with the slime. So we can close the slime and put it away. I did an experiment once where I green slimed the upper bladders of another brand of shock bladders because I wanted to see if I could seal them off and prevent them from expanding, and that didn't work. And I thought it would, but it really didn't. And no one really green slimes the bladders anyway, but these bladders are very good that come in these plastic shocks, and I'm convinced that they are derived from the Axon shock set because they simply don't expand. Like, they work really good. So That's green slime gone. If you want to clean off your hands, now's the best time to go wash them. I'm not going to run off cam right now. I'm just going to wipe them quite a lot, and then we'll continue. But now that that's all done, we can continue to build the shocks and do the bottom side. So let's continue that. Now, when we do this, make sure, oh, there's some plastic flash there. That didn't, oh, I cut it, but it didn't come off. You bugger. Okay, there we go, got it. So now, when we do the bottom side of the shock, make sure this has two different sizes, okay? That part there, that smaller ridge, that goes on the bottom side. This bigger ridge, this goes in the bottom of the shock. So right here, this is how this goes on, and you'll know because see how that fits very nice and flush. That, if you put that side in there, it will wiggle around far too much, okay? So that's how that goes, and then you take a bottom cap and you install it. Just make sure the threads are even. Got a little bit of green slime there. Make sure the threads are straight and fire it on, and away you go. And we're going to continue this for the next bunch. Let's do this in order succession. Come on. Yeah, there we go. I like to do the shocks sort of as an assembly line, so you kind of do them all at once instead of you build each one individually completely. Oh, look, there's some more plastic flash on there. Let's get rid of that. And then that way, all the shocks are kind of all done all at once. And then, in my opinion, you'll save time this way. So there's that one. And a plastic, oh man, I thought I got it all. Plastic flash. Oops. All right, so get that bottom side in there. Be careful not to push the shock shaft all the way through. Snug it up real good. Did I get this one? Yep, okay. So there's all the bottom side done, okay? The last piece of the bottom side is these ball cups. And this is where, that was a lot of noise. This is where these ball cup pliers, shock pliers, I should say, not ball cup pliers, because that is a thing. These are shock shaft pliers. So you take your shock shaft and you stick it in here. We'll put it in the 3.0. And that allows us to hold the shock shaft nice and firm while we install the bottom ball cup. And I'm going to use 3 racing ball cup screw again, because it's really nice for this sort of thing. And you just hold the shock shaft with some force there so it doesn't spin. And make sure your ball cup goes right up there. Yep, that's good. That is all the way up. Pretty much. I'm going to thread it a little bit down. There we go. Did I put it too far? There we go. Yeah. So you just want to see a little bit of thread coming out the bottom, like a teeny bit. That's all. Just a little bit. So that's one. But if you don't have shock shaft pliers, you can do another trick, which I'll show you in a second. Let's get this rifled on here. Okay, 2. The last one, I'll show you the trick. And this is the third one. Don't worry if the ball cup kind of goes on crooked or wonky, because it'll straighten itself out the further it goes up the chain here. Okay, that's that. And then, so the last one, if you don't have ball cup pliers, use side cutters. Put the side cutters into the top part of the thread, right about there. See how I've clipped it in there? And then you can use pliers to hold the thread and twist your ball cup on, like so. Oh, let me get a good grip there. There we go. So this is what you can do if you don't have shock shaft pliers, and then just twist the ball cap as far up as you can get it, which is about there, which is about where I was leaving the spacing. Then I'll use my shock pliers and just twist that up just a little more. There we go. But that will work in a pinch. if you have to do it that way. So there, now we've got the complete bottom side of the shocks all assembled. Okay, they are ready for oil at this point. And then all we have to do is the top hat, bladder, and top cap. So now I'm going to move this guy, just this thing kind of out of the way a little. Those out of the way, and have the bladders ready, and just move this a little closer so you can see the oilings. Okay. So here's where we do the oil. Grab our oil, number 50. It definitely leaked out a little bit. And begin to fill. Now fill it most of the way to the top. And that one I put a little too much, but it's okay. You fill it to the mostly of the top, okay, where it's even, because we have to bleed them now. We have to bleed the shock. So this is how we bleed them. Hold the shock body and move your piston up and down like so, slowly, okay? You can see me moving it up and down. This puts oil into the bottom part of the shock, bleeds out any air bubbles from the bottom, and also the oil flows further down, and then you won't have as much in the top of your shock. And you'll know if you've done the green sliming correctly and well, because after you bleed the shocks here by moving the piston up and down, if you see some bubbles, the first couple of pulls, which you will a bit there, see a bit of bubbles, but after the pulls, if you don't see any bubbles, after moving it consistently back and forth, your shock is sealed very well. See, look, there's no bubbles at all. If I move this over top, look, pretty much like no bubbles, and I just bled that like seconds ago. So that's the simplest way to do that part. You can let it sit for a bit if you want, but really they're good to go. So at this point, this is where I'm going to tilt this a little sideways to get my hands in here. Now, this is the easiest way to do this, and you'll usually get them bled perfectly if you follow this procedure. So see, we got our oil here. They're all at slightly different spots, but they're mostly at the top. Take your bladder and place it on the top of the shock. Don't drop it. Place it on the top of the shock. Just by placing it, you'll start to see it sit, and you'll start to see a bit of oil come out of it. See the oil falling out? That's normal. That's okay. Don't panic. Take your top hat. Okay, here's the top hat. Place it on top of the bladder. Just place it and get it seated mostly on. You don't have to slam it on or anything. Just get it mostly seated there. And then you take your top cap. See how the oil's still bleeding? That's okay. We want that. Take your top cap, slide it over, and now, by holding the bottom of the shock shaft, gently thread that onto the body. There. Oh, no, that went on crooked. There we go, felt it. You can spin it backwards until you feel it kind of click onto the thread. That is on the body, okay? So now I can take the shock out and fully thread the top cap on to the body, and you'll see the oil coming out there. See it just coming out to the sides there? That's all normal. Don't panic. It's all normal, just wipe it away. That is the bladder bleeding off the right amount of oil for the top of the shock. So when we seal it, we have perfect shock action. Should be the first time. And here's the test. Oh, look at that. Bang, bang, bang. So if you want full rebound, this is how it's done. Piston at bottom dead center, fill it with oil, place the bladder like I just showed you, and that's really good action. Look at that. So that's essentially built. Put that off to the side. Now I'm going to do the process for the next 3 shocks. Same thing. Bleed the oil, bleed the oil, bleed the oil. And you can let them sit there like that. That's fine. For a little bit. The weight of the top cap. Top cap, get it centered. Top cap, get it centered. There we go. And one by one, I'm going to just pre-thread the, oh, whoa. Oh. There we go. Pre-thread the top caps. There's 1, 2. Oh, that one went right on. Nice. That's the second one. And the third one. Oh, shoot. Okay, there we go. Let's thread it backwards until it clicks. There we go. So, now if we do these all in a line, they should all be perfect. One shot, first time. So, screw the cap on. See the excess oil come out there. This one had a little bit more than the others. It's okay. Just clean it up. Oops. Clean it up. There we go. Tighten it down. And, oh yeah, bang. Perfect. That's 2. A little bit extra oil there. That's the second one. And then here's, whoa, here's the third one. Well, this one didn't bleed out as much oil, but perfect. See, this one barely bled out any oil. I must have got that leveling near perfect. Okay, so then the last one, crank it down. This one had a bit of oil coming out of it, not much, a bit. And first shot. Oh yeah, perfect. Bang, 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 bang. Excellent. So those are all good to go. And because they're all built the same, with the same pistons and all that, you don't have to worry at the moment where they go. But in a moment, we will decide where they go. Because let's take these two and take these 2 front springs. These are the front springs. The manual references it. They want the progressive part of the coil at the bottom part of the shock. So that would be this guy going down below. You take one of the spring retainers, place it in, and make sure it seats fully in. See how that's seated? And we're going to have a little bit of clearance here, and that's okay because we will screw the preload collar down. And what I'm going to do is just put the collar so that the spring has no gapping. The spring doesn't really move anymore. There we go. That's a good amount. We'll do that for, no, I grabbed one of the other ones. Look at that. Funny. Anyways, so same thing here. Make sure this piece pushes in and down, and then let's give it some preload, shall we? Before this car gets run, that's going to get measured and everything, but just give it a little bit of preload there. Shock collar preload, just so the spring is nice and fitted. Look at that. There we go. So those are the fronts. Okay, those are done. Now the rears, same thing, and they want the coil to the upper side. Okay, so the coil more up on the shock body. Now these springs are longer, so you won't need as much preload here, just to kind of finish the build here like this. But when it goes on the car, you may want more. There's a bit more oil that I did not sop up. Cool. Okay, so there's a rear shock, and last rear shock. Pop, and a little preload, and away we go. Perfect. Yep, this should be good. So there we have it. There's the front, and the rear of the shocks. And that is the end of page 28. Now we move on to page 29. Page 29 is simply install these shocks. So you remember what was what? Front, rear. Front, so here we go. And because they're shocks, they're kind of easy to push on and off. For whatever reason, I can do these easier than ball studs. I don't know why. But see, one, I knocked the camera a bit. We're okay. 1, 2. Oh, yep, 1, 2. And then onto the front of the car here. Oops. Onto the front. Usually when they're brand new, sometimes they're stiffer. Yeah, I just have more dexterity all of a sudden. Okay. And yes, so there we go. Now we got front shocks installed. Excellent. Got some damping there. Oh yeah. Same thing for the rear. Install as so. 1, 2. And ugh. Oops. Oh, my thumb. Okay, hang on. My thumb don't want to cooperate, and neither does, all right, neither do my fingers. We're just going to use pliers now because fingers are giving up, ladies and gentlemen. Can I do this one? Yes, but this one is not going to cooperate for my hands. So we'll just do this. Bang, look at that. Done. Okay, so there's the rear springs installed. I just don't like marking up the ball cups, but whatever. Whenever you take them on and off, you're going to mark them up anyway. So that's that. There it is, installed. Okay, rear shocks installed. Those are the rear springs, and the front springs are smaller and have the progressive part at the bottom. Very good. So now we have what looks like pretty much like a car. It's almost done. One more step to go, really. And that is bag 11. So let's get bag 11 out, and then I'll go through it on the manual real quick, and then we're finished. And then we have a car that will still need some wheels and tires and a body and electronics, but this is how we complete the roller. So these are the last bunch of parts here for bag 11. Ugh, why? There we go. If someone wants to make outtakes, mark the time points and I'll cut them. Anyways, okay, so getting all these parts out and about. Okay. Screws. We got many screws here. Let me just sort them real quick. They threw all the button heads and the... Yeah, those are those. Okay, so those are all the same. And then those are 10. These are 8s, these are 10s. Okay. 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 10, 10, 6. Okay, that's that. Okay, so we won't need these. These are for body, but we won't use them. So, what is the last step? The last step is... Move that out of the way. Here we are, the last step. Bag 11, step 11. Installation of the body mount rear diffuser. Pretty straightforward. Mount that. That mounts to the front bulkhead. And then the front bumper body mount assembly mounts to that. And then we install body post to the front bumper, which usually I install the body post first onto the bumper before putting it on the car. So we'll probably do that. And then we're going to move right on to page 30 here. Page 30 is the rear body posts pieces onto the rear shock tower, rear body posts, rear diffuser, those other pieces we're not going to use, and then wheels, but we don't have wheels, and then we're done. And then that just illustrates what's different parts of the car you can modify for battery installation and such. So, bag 11, page 30, page 29, let's do this. So, we need this guy. Put that down. We need this guy. And he's going to be orientated like this. This side being the bottom. And we're going to clip these pieces in first. These recessed, these areas here, not recessed, these ridges here. Yeah, those go on the top side. So it will look like this when this part is done. And these clip in kind of like Lego. So that's how it will look. Bottom side, top side, okay? And those go in by a 10mm screw. That's these, 2 of them. So we can bolt this together now. Okay. And then this goes on the car, onto the front side right here. Okay. And it will kind of pop on and stick in like Lego. It will just sit there. And then we fire some screws into it. So we're going to fire in 4 8mm button heads. That's these guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. DeWalt battery's getting low. 1 out of 3 bars. I think I only started with 2. Anyways, okay, so that's now bolted onto the car. Now we can do the front bumper. And the front bumper has the brand on it right here. Read the name, Reve-D, and it'll sit like this. But before we bolt it to the car, I like to do the front body post first, otherwise you're gonna flip the whole car and this and that. So I can't remember what kind of body the owner has or what the body posts are, if he's gonna use magnets. So we're just gonna install this as standard. And the orientation of the body posts will go like this. Oh, whoops. 1, and this fits in like Lego. So it will sit in there. And the orientation of the body post is like this. So we have, see how it's got the little extra part there that faces the back side. And that's the way it orientates. Okay. So now we can bolt this on with another 4 8mm screws. And this will click in. See, it just clicks in and it'll sit there until we're ready to fire screws into it. So let's fire some screws into it. We're almost done now. Getting there, we're almost done. All right, that's on and in. That part is complete. We are almost finished the RDX. Okay, now for the rear end, we're moving right along to page 30. Page 30 is install these guys. These are the body post pieces for the rear shock tower. They clip on the front side, so they go in like this. It has the ridges there. Those ridges will click in right there. And these parts will just sit here until we put screws in them. Sort of, kind of, sort of. 8mm screws again. So here we go. 8mm. And because of those little ridges, we can just tighten them right away. And the other side here. Looks good, doesn't it? Whoa, whoa, whoa. There we go. Okay. Now we do the body posts, and the orientation of that is we screw them on the back side, so like this, with the orientation of the post. See the post here and how it's got, it's not sitting in the middle. We put the flush side of the post to here. So let me bolt this on and then I'll show you what I mean. On both sides, put a screw on the screwdriver and, oh, put the screws from the other side, not this side, that's right. How are you supposed to hold it on if you put it in that side? So this screw goes in from the middle of the car, the inside of the car, I should say. And another one of the 10mm. Very good. Now the same thing on the other side here. Whoa. Excellent. Okay, so with the orientation, see how the body post is flush against the mounting piece? That's what we want for both sides. But you can flip them, and you can even put them on the other side of the mount if you have a body that was mounted with different geometry, body geometry. And then really the last thing we're going to do on this build video is the rear diffuser. And that only takes 2 screws. And somehow I've ended up with 2 extra screws here. How did I end up with those 2 extra screws? What did I do? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Oh, yeah, I forgot. The 2 extra screws go in the front body posts. Okay, so no big deal. We will do that in a second. So the rear diffuser gets bolted in right here. And there we go. 1 and 2. Those body posts fit in so nicely, I totally forgot to put screws in them. So that and that. And if you remembered to put screws in, the car would be done. But I forgot to put screws in the body posts, so now we'll just do that real quickly. This one here. Yep. And then the other one on the other side. And there we are. Car is 99% complete because the last part I like to do is put these pins in just for decoration. Well, not so much decoration, but just so they're here. We know where they are. Bang, bang. And they give you 8. They don't just give you 4. Some companies only give you 4, which makes no sense because you need 8 to hold your body on. 4 on the bottom, 4 on the top. So now that we're going to put these pins in, the car will be complete. And if you've reached this stage along with me and everything has gone well, congratulations, your car is complete. The Reve-D RDX, there it is. Well done. So we have completed the build. Let me move this stuff out of the way. There it is. Move that out of the way a bit. I'm going to grab the close-up cam here. Yes, there it is. There's our car, all nice and complete. Very good. Everything is installed. Everything is fresh. Everything is ready to go. Our front suspension is ready. There we go. So this is what I was saying with the front springs. See we got a little extra spring action? That's all. That's progressive springs for you. But yeah, transmission smooth, ready to go. Excellent. So yeah, car is built. Let's put the this close-up camera back. Yeah, so we're pretty much good to go here. That car is complete. Now, the only other thing is I'll move this out and let's just go through some of the spare parts that we have that we still need to finish for the electronics and things like that. That's a broken tree. That's a dead tree. That is a part for the battery mount, which we will not need because we're not doing a long mount. These are extra spacers now. Keep them because they're going to be handy. Okay. 23 tooth servo horn we're not going to use because we have the 25 tooth already bolted in the car. Extra ball cups, save these in case you want to change things here, for example, to turnbuckles or whatever. You're going to need these, but you'll have to buy more, but keep these, excuse me. These are pieces from the other battery tray, other battery holder assemblies. We don't need those. Other battery assembly holder, don't need that. And part of the other battery assembly holder. We don't need that, but you can keep it for spare anyway, trade it with someone, whatever. And then over here in my little parts thing here, what do we have left? Well, we have a bunch of screws that were from the battery tray assembly. Some spacers here, bigger spacers. Those go here if you have a longer battery. These screws and pins and things, that's for part of the other battery holder that goes with this. And then we will be needing this pinion gear for the motor. Set screws already in it there, but that, and then these 2 screws and spacers. So this stuff is required still. This stuff isn't. Then we have some spare 0.1 mil shims in case you want to do some more tuning and stuff. And I'm going to have to stick these back in the bag once I pack this all up. But that's it. That's everything. The car is built. Car is complete. It's ready to go. So thank you very much for watching. If you have watched all the way through or just used it for build tips or tweaks or whatever. I appreciate everyone watching and giving me tips on the build process, the videos, the camera work, all that, editing, whatever. Yeah, this was the first car build video I've ever filmed, and it went fairly well. I'll just be a little bit more prepared next time and have maybe take a few more breaks here or there, and then figure out the editing. But yeah, we have reached the end. So like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching. And yes, 2026 build video by Nezo, Reve-D RDX. And now I got a bunch of cleaning up to do. So thank you for watching. Check you next time.